Chapter 12:10. I heard that the Mao clan has the third-ranked karma cultivation method among the 8 ancient cultivation methods. I want to borrow it for a look. Ningqing spoke with a calm tone. Mao Tai's expression changed, and he raised his hand to send out a message. Ningqing didn't care about Mao Tai's actions at all, and the good fortune divine spear directly crossed space and swept towards Mao Tai. As soon as the good fortune divine spear shot out, Ningqing felt something wrong. At this moment, it felt as if he had grasped the entire universe's aura in his hand and smashed it towards Mao Tai. His killing power and killing intent were already heavy, and under the good fortune divine spear's sweep, the killing power and killing intent grew even stronger. It felt as if the entire sky was crashing down. The good fortune divine spear was indeed a low-rank spirit artifact, but the moment he brought out the spirit artifact, the killing power rose to its peak. Even a top-rank spirit artifact wouldn't give Ningqing such a powerful feeling. Ningqing was pleasantly surprised, and the surging killing power swept out along with the good fortune divine spear. Space and time turned into nothingness in front of the good fortune divine spear. At this moment, the tyrannical spear intent truly turned into nothingness. Stop! An equally tyrannical imposing aura shot out diagonally. This imposing aura brought with it a murderous intent that could tear everything apart. It was as if a river had collapsed in an instant. Boom! Mao Tai immediately fell into an absolute disadvantage because of the time it took to send out a message. The good fortune divine spear tore through Mao Tai's domain and protective cover like a rag. When it collided with Mao Tai's hurried punch, it gave off an earth-shattering muffled sound. Almost at the same moment, the slanted murderous intent also slammed into the body of Ningqing's good fortune divine spear. Spirit essence and Dao charm filled the sky, and Ningqing took a few steps back. The power of the Dao charm laws suddenly exploded. Room D91 was blasted to smithereens. Even the 2 rooms beside it were blasted to smithereens. Seeing that, several cultivators who were inside hastily rushed out. A few huge golden pillars from the first floor to the top floor were also blasted into pieces by the aftermath of the Taoist rhyme. A blood mist exploded, and Mao Tai's fist and arm turned into nothingness because of the price of sending out a message. A long-haired middle-aged man descended from the sky. He did not care about Mao Tai who had been blasted to the ground floor, but rather looked at Ningqing in shock. Previously, he heard that there was a primordial chaos sacred emperor, causing trouble in the heavens beyond rest house. Because of the fight, he even destroyed the door of the heavens beyond rest house. After hearing this news, he flew into a rage. The reason why he rushed over now was because no matter who it was, anyone who dared to make a move in the heavens beyond rest stop would be killed without question. Now he had exchanged a blow with his opponent the moment he arrived. To be exact, he had exchanged a small half of a blow with his opponent. This was because most of the power of this move had been taken away by Mao Tai. Even now, his Taoist aura was still a little chaotic and had yet to be completely stabilized. Even his spirit essence started to surge. Ningqing's strength had completely exceeded his expectations. Who are you? Why are you fighting in my heavens beyond rest house and destroying my rooms? The long-haired middle-aged man took a deep breath and asked in a serious tone. At this moment, not to mention killing Ningqing, he felt sure that if he dared to continue, the one to die would not be the other party, but himself. Ningqing's gaze fell on Mao Tai, who had been blasted away by him. Mao Tai's crippled arm had already regrown, but his strength had dropped by a level. Ningqing also understood that the best opportunity had disappeared. Because of the sudden addition of the long-haired man, his idea of killing Mao Tai fell through. At this moment, as long as he continued to pursue, Mao Tai would never stay here and fight him head-on. Ningqing retracted his gaze and shifted it to the long-haired man. Who I am is not important. What's important is that you attacked me. After saying this, Ningqing's aura rose once again. Under Ningqing's powerful Taoist aura, the debris of the room started to swirl out like a tornado in all directions. After these fragments were swept away, they condensed again and turned into several incomparably huge stone balls. These stone balls floated in the air as if they would fall down at any time. Ningqing had long since adapted to the principle of survival in the void. A modest gentleman would die quickly. At this time, only by showing one's strength could one win respect. The long-haired man's expression changed. He forcibly stimulated his domain to block Ningcheng's Taoist aura suppression and spoke up in a weak tone. Your Excellency is too overbearing just because of your cultivation. Not only did you destroy my Heavens Beyond Rest Stop's room, but you're also so forceful. Is there no reason in this world? He was sure that if he dared to be a little more forceful, Ningcheng's huge stone balls would have completely smashed the Heavens Beyond Rest Stop to pieces. Ningcheng found it funny. When this long-haired man had first arrived, even an idiot would have realized that he wanted to kill him. Yet now this long-haired man actually wanted to reason with him. In other words, if he had a few tricks up his sleeve, Mao Tai and this man would have killed him in the first place. If you hadn't forcefully attacked, I wouldn't have blasted the room next to me with my strength. Since you forcibly rescued Mao Tai, does Heavens Beyond want to join forces with the Mao family to attack me? If that's the case, then it would be easy. Ningcheng no longer held back. This long-haired man was at the early stage Dao integration realm, but in his eyes he was nothing. Compared to Go Wansheng, this guy was nothing. Friend, please don't misunderstand. My Heavens Beyond Rest Stop doesn't care about 1 or 2 rooms. My Heavens Beyond Rest Stop doesn't help anyone. I just hope that you don't fight in my rest stop, the long-haired man said without hesitation. In the face of an expert like Ningcheng, it didn't matter if he showed some weakness. Ningcheng cupped his fists and ignored the long-haired man. Instead, he looked at Mao Tai. Mao Tai regretted it very much. He shouldn't have underestimated Ningcheng and even sent a message when he was about to fight Ningcheng. The reason he sent a message was that Ningcheng's words had something to do with the karma cultivation method. He was worried that other experts would covet the karma cultivation method, which was why he sent a message to the Mao family. If he hadn't underestimated Ningcheng and sent a message before fighting Ningcheng, even if he couldn't beat Ningcheng, he could have left in one piece instead of losing an arm. The reason why he didn't leave was that he was ready to attack Ningcheng when Ningcheng and the Heavens Beyond manager started fighting. Now that the Heavens Beyond manager would rather admit defeat than fight, he knew that he had lost his chance. At that moment, Ningcheng looked over and fled without hesitation, disappearing from the Heavens Beyond Rest Stop. Ningcheng calmly glanced at the long-haired man in the Heavens Beyond Rest Stop, and said to Mu Yueping and the others, "Let's go." It wasn't until Ningcheng and the others walked out of the rest stop that the long-haired man realized that his back was drenched in cold sweat. He secretly sighed and raised his hand to send a message. Since such an expert had come to the Heavens Beyond, it was no longer something he could control. Whether or not he could get back at the Heavens Beyond rest stop depended on how the Mao family dealt with this matter. "Big brother Ning, where are we going?" Mu Yueping guessed that Ningcheng wanted to go to the Mao family, but still asked worriedly. "Of course we're going to the Mao family," Ningcheng said without hesitation. Since he had already beaten the grass, he didn't care if the snake was alarmed or not. The Mao family probably didn't have a third-step expert. If they had a third-step expert, they wouldn't have just watched him cut off Mao Tai's arm. If the Mao family's third-step expert couldn't control Mao Tai's condition, he wouldn't be considered a third-step expert. He had already tested them, so there was no need to continue. "This is the Mao family?" Ningcheng looked at the very ordinary fences of the small courtyard in front of him in confusion. Mu Yueping said with certainty, "Yes, this is the Mao family. The Mao family is very famous in the Heavens Beyond and has many industries. I even secretly asked around and found out about this place. I heard that among the famous forces in the Heavens Beyond, the Mao family is the most low-key. However, as long as someone provokes the Mao family will never give up even if they flee to the ends of the earth." Ningcheng agreed with this. Although he had attacked Mao Yi previously, Mao Yi hadn't said anything. Min Quan had been scolding him from the beginning. In the end, after he had attacked Mao Yi, he had immediately provoked Mao Tai. "Let's go in and take a look." Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness landed on the restriction of the Mao family's small courtyard. Just as he was about to break the restriction by force, the door of the small courtyard suddenly opened. "Esteemed guests have come from afar. I, Mao Wuxia, have neglected to welcome you. Please forgive me." After the door of the small courtyard opened, several people came out. The person walking in front was an elegant man with a black beard. He looked very handsome, and his words were like a spring breeze that didn't make people feel disgusted. Mu Yueping sent a voice transmission behind Ningcheng. This person is Mao Wuxia, the family head of the Mao family. I heard that he's a late-stage primordial chaos expert. Late-stage primordial chaos? Ningcheng sneered in his heart. Mao Wuxia was obviously a late-stage Dao integration expert. However, his cultivation level was hidden at the late-stage primordial chaos. Although his Dao runes were scattered, he had done so intentionally. Mao Wuxia's real Dao runes were condensed and extremely rich, which was definitely stronger than Mao Tai's cultivation level. The Mao family is despicable and shameless. They kill people and take their treasures. Mao Zhenyu is a bastard, and Mao Wuxia is a bastard among bastards. One day, Grandpa will annihilate your entire Mao clan and turn them into powder. A furious voice suddenly resounded. Ningcheng was shocked and immediately took a step back. This voice had come so suddenly that his spiritual consciousness hadn't even discovered it. It was only now that he discovered where the voice had come from. It was the figure of a man floating in the air. This figure was faintly discernible, as if it would disappear at any time. Moreover, the more this illusory figure scolded, the more vicious the words came out. Ningcheng was very puzzled. Mao Wuxia was standing at the door of the small courtyard to welcome him. However, when Mao Wuxia heard this voice, his expression turned extremely ugly, and he didn't do anything to the man in the air. Chapter 12:11. How could the Mao clan be so tolerant? They were simply enduring tortoises. Ningcheng suddenly felt relieved when he saw Mao Wuxia take the initiative to open the door and greet him with enthusiasm. If they could endure this kind of vicious abuse, then what else could the Mao clan not endure? Ningcheng smiled and directly swept out with his spiritual consciousness. The restrictions in the small courtyard were immediately broken by his spiritual consciousness, and a rich spiritual aura rushed out. A small world-like world appeared in front of everyone. This was not a small courtyard, it was clearly a paradise. Sorry, I saw that the spiritual consciousness shielding restriction here was good, so I wanted to move around a bit. Haha. I didn't expect the environment of the Mao clan to be this good. This place is completely different from the outside. Ningcheng paused slightly. He suddenly understood why the Mao clan allowed people to insult them here, and did not do anything to those who insulted them. This vague figure suspended in the air was clearly a cultivator's avatar. This avatar had a very powerful spirit technique, called Void Teleportation Spirit Technique. Obviously, the cultivator who stood in front of the Mao clan's door and curse was not here, but somewhere else. Once the Mao clan's people attacked his avatar could instantly teleport to the place where the main body was. Therefore, despite the harsh words, Mao Wuxia could not do anything to him. One could be sure that this was not the first time. Ningcheng knew about the Void Teleportation Spirit Technique. This spirit technique was very difficult to learn, and the conditions to learn it were also very harsh. The materials needed to sculpt the avatar's body were even more precious. The biggest advantage of this spirit technique was that it allowed one to escape. In addition, once the avatar's strength reached the same level as the main body, then the avatar could also help the main body in battle. Ningcheng had seen this spirit technique and had the opportunity to learn this spirit technique. However, he had no interest in this spirit technique. The main reason was still related to his temperament. To learn this spirit technique, one first had to find the best materials to sculpt the avatar. After sculpting the avatar, one had to cut off a wisp of their spiritual soul and integrate it into the created avatar. However, these were not the reasons why Ningcheng was disgusted. What Ningcheng disliked was that as the avatar grew, the avatar would develop an independent mind. In general, this situation did not affect the avatar, because the avatar would not grow faster than the main body. However, this wasn't absolute. Once the main body was restricted, it was possible for the clone to surpass the main body, and it was even possible for it to become an existence with its own thoughts. What made Ningcheng even more disgusted was that the avatar represented himself. This meant that when the avatar and the true body's Dao companion were together, the true body's Dao companion would not reject the avatar. Most cultivators would think that this kind of thing was normal, but Ningcheng did not like this kind of existence. Although Ningcheng did not cultivate the avatar spirit technique, he knew that this spirit technique was indeed powerful. Hearing Ningcheng's words, Mao Wuxiao's face turned stiff and spoke up in a somewhat unnatural manner. This Mao clan is too stingy. They even used an isolation restriction to block everyone's line of sight. Friends, please come in. The Mao family will do our best to entertain you. Ningcheng showed a faint smile, as his spiritual consciousness attack once again swept out, while simultaneously throwing out a few array flags. The Mao family's hidden killing array, defensive array, spirit gathering array. With all the array formations exposed in front of everyone, Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept through each and every one of the array formations, checking to see if there was any threat. I'm a bit timid, so I have to check if there are any trap and kill arrays that pose a threat to me. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the array formations while speaking as if nothing had happened. Mao Wuxiao's face turned livid, but he still spoke up calmly. It's only right. My Mao family doesn't have anything to hide. Mao Wuxiao still endured. As long as Ningcheng didn't destroy the Mao family's array formations, he wouldn't make a move immediately. Even if he wanted to make a move, he would lure Ningcheng into the Mao family's depths. Hey, are you also here to find trouble with the Mao family's beasts? The illusory man standing in the void suddenly solidified and landed beside Ningcheng. Ningcheng looked at this solidified man in doubt. Although he knew that this man was an avatar, he still felt a little surprised. This avatar's strength had advanced to the late-stage Dao Essence realm. From the looks of it, the main body was at least a primordial chaos holy emperor. Aren't you afraid that if someone attacks you, I won't help you? Ningcheng looked at this unbelievably young avatar and spoke with a slight smile. The young man spat at the entrance of the Mao family's small courtyard, then cupped his fists towards Ningcheng and spoke. Senior won't. There's a good saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Even if we aren't friends, Senior will definitely not let Mao Wuxiao, this uncultured man, make a move against me. My strength is indeed not enough for the Mao family, and I'm still far from Senior's level. However, I can still wave the flag for Senior. At least, I don't even put those small fries of the Mao family in my eyes. Mao Wuxiao's hands trembled in anger, but even so he still held back and did not attack this young avatar. Ningcheng showed a noncommittal smile. It's not impossible for me to protect you, but your true body must be here. If your true body is not here, then once something happens, you can walk away at any time. However, I can't. This is not the reason for cooperation, nor is it the sincerity of cooperation. The avatar man laughed, and a ripple-shaped sway suddenly appeared around his body. In just a few breaths, his cultivation rose sharply. From the late-stage primordial Tao, he directly advanced to the late-stage primordial chaos. After more than a dozen breaths, the swaying ripples disappeared. A red-haired young man appeared in front of Ningcheng and the others. Compared to the previous avatar, this red-haired young man had a trace of bloody aura, which showed how much killing he had experienced. The red-haired young man's body solidified and said to Ningcheng, "My name is Yu. In order to show my sincerity, my true body and avatar have merged. I also want to tell you that once you fail, even if my true body and avatar merge, I will still escape. I have many ways to escape. If the Mao family wants to keep me, hee." Ningcheng nodded with a smile, appreciating Yu's decisiveness. He knew about the doppelganger teleportation spirit technique. Apart from the doppelganger being able to instantly teleport to the location of the true body could also instantly teleport to the location of the doppelganger. Since Yu let his doppelganger fuse with the true body, it meant that he did not intend to use this method to escape. My name is Ningcheng. You can rest assured that the Mao family can't pose a threat to you. Ningcheng simply ignored Mao Wuxiao, who was standing on the side. As for the person behind Mao Wuxiao, he directly ignored him. Senior can use your spiritual consciousness to directly break through the Mao family's isolation restriction. Senior's spear looks very good. Yu naturally couldn't see through Ningcheng's long spear, but he felt strange. With Ningcheng's strength, why would he carry a low-rank spirit artifact on his back instead of putting it in his ring? The only explanation was that Ningcheng was looking down on the Mao family. Family head Mao, you can take us to the Mao family. By the way, I told Mao Tai before that my main purpose for coming here today is to hear that the Mao family has the third-ranked karma cultivation method among the 8 ancient cultivation methods. Therefore, I want to see it. Family head Mao won't refuse, right? Ningqing deliberately patted the good fortune divine spear on his back and spoke in a casual tone. Mao Wuxiao spoke up with a gloomy expression. Dao friend Ning must be joking. The Mao family does not have such an earth-shattering cultivation method. Since the few of you have come to the Mao family, then please come in. I, Mao Wuxiao, like to have friends from afar. Even if I can't come up with something that can satisfy the few of you, my Mao family will not let you return empty-handed. Mao Wuxiao, you old fart. My brother's grand formless cultivation method was stolen by your Mao family, using the most despicable and shameless means. The grand formless cultivation method is an important part of the karma cultivation method. Do you dare say that you don't have a karma cultivation method? Not only did your Mao family steal the cultivation method, but you also killed my brother's entire family. You have already sworn that I will never let your Mao family leave behind a chicken in this life. Yu Yu's expression turned grim, and his words contained a strong murderous intent. When the old fart heard about the grand formless cultivation method, his whole body trembled with excitement. In this place only he, Jiangzhong, knew about the terror of the grand formless cultivation method. He cultivated the minor formless cultivation method, which made him almost invincible in the same realm. He heard that the minor formless cultivation method was only a small part of the karma cultivation method. However, the grand formless cultivation method was the most important component of the karma cultivation method. Although he did not say anything, he was already thinking about how to make the senior give him a copy of the grand formless cultivation method. As for whether Ning Cheng could obtain the grand formless cultivation method or not, he simply did not care about it. Mao Wuxiao had suffered too many insults, but he did not say anything. Instead, he just led the way with a sullen face. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness kept an eye on the surrounding trap and kill arrays. Once he found an array formation that he could not see through, or felt that he could not break it in a short time, he would not go in again. The Mao family looked very calm, as if they really wanted to treat Ning Cheng and the others as distinguished guests. After walking for the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Mao Wuxiao suddenly stopped, then slowly turned around to look at Ning Cheng and the others and spoke. Only my Mao family can humiliate others, no one can humiliate my Mao family. Today, the few of you have humiliated my Mao family several times. Do you think that my Mao family is easy to bully? Do it. After Mao Wuxiao finished this sentence, his figure faded away. Ning Cheng's icebound space moved quickly, but in the end, it only managed to freeze a faint shadow of Mao Wuxiao. This faint shadow quickly lost its vitality. From the looks of it, Mao Wuxiao had forcibly cut off its Dao charm. No matter what happens, everyone stand in place and don't move. Ning Cheng had just finished this sentence when everything around him turned into an irrelevant scene. Whether it was Mu Yueping, Chasing Bull, the old fogey or Yu Yu, all of them had disappeared. Ning Cheng's heart sank. This was definitely an illusory array, but he had not seen it before. In other words, the Tao of arrays arranged by the Mao family was at least not any weaker than him in the Tao of arrays. Since a mere illusory array couldn't kill him, Ning Cheng no longer held back his spiritual consciousness and forcefully blasted out. At this moment, what he cared about was the killer behind this illusory array. Chapter 12:12. In the face of this illusion array, even the old fogey did not dare to move, and could only obey Ning Cheng's words. The old fogey obviously had a lot more experience compared to Mu Yueping and Chasing Bull. He knew that behind this powerful illusory array was a killing array. Even if they just sat there and did not move, as long as Ning Cheng did not break the killing array in the shortest possible time, they would still be killed by the killing array. The old fogey closed his eyes as he watched the flames that were like rolling blades rushing at him, followed by the needles that were as dense as a rainforest. Based on his experience, even if there was a killing array, it wouldn't be this fast. The first wave of flames and rainforest was merely the killing intent of the illusory array. There was no need to dodge such things. Instead, one would be able to hide into the killing array even faster after dodging. But Mu Yueping and Chasing Bull were different. Facing this terrifying killing power, they did not even know how to resist it. Mu Yueping, on the other hand, kept Ning Cheng's words in mind. No matter what kind of killing power bombarded her, she remained motionless. In the face of this killing power, Chasing Bull almost knelt on the ground without any resistance. It wanted to escape immediately, but it really didn't have the ability to do so. Just a single illusory array's killing intent had suppressed Chasing Bull to the point that it couldn't move. You didn't move either. The old fart had a lot of experience, but so did he. Furthermore, he knew that this was the Mao family's immortal slaughtering illusory killing array. Within this illusory killing array, there were 2 waves of illusory killing intent. After 2 waves of illusory killing intent, it was time for the true killing array to come crashing down. Amidst the killing intent of this illusion formation, one could feel the pain of a saber tearing through one's body, but one would not die. Once the illusory array's killing intent passed, if he still couldn't break the array and couldn't escape, he could only wait for death. Yu Yuan, seeing Ning Cheng use his spiritual consciousness to break through the spiritual consciousness restriction of the Mao clan, immediately had high expectations for Ning Cheng. The Mao family was powerful not only because they had many top-notch experts, but also because of their immortal slaughtering illusionary killing array. The Mao family had snatched the major artifice technique, so he was determined to get his hands on it. Therefore, when he saw Ning Cheng taking action against the Mao family, he immediately wanted to join in on the fun. Even if Ning Cheng failed, it would not matter. At most he would have to escape. No one knew that he had 3 doppelgangers instead of 1. Even if he fell into the immortal slaughtering illusionary killing array, he would be fine. When the first wave of murderous attacks hit everyone, Mu Yueping felt that her entire body was torn apart, but she couldn't see any injuries. This kind of terrifying mental pain almost made her faint. The old man leisurely took out the Heavenly Alliance's Stardew and took a sip. He had asked Esau for this wine. He was experienced, so it was not surprising that he knew about the killing intent of the illusory formation. If after a few waves of killing intents from the illusion array, Ning Cheng still could not open the illusion array, then he would have to escape first. In contrast, Chasing Bull felt the most relaxed. Faced with this terrifying killing power suppression, Chasing Bull simply fainted. As the first wave of killing power arrived, Ning Cheng still did not move, while his spiritual consciousness had already permeated out. After such a powerful illusory array was a killing array. In fact, it was an illusory killing array. He also knew this. However, he had to break the illusory array first. With his powerful body refinement cultivation, this kind of illusory killing force wouldn't cause any harm to him at all. It wouldn't even have any effect on him deducing the illusory array. With the first wave of killing power from the Slaughter Immortal illusory killing array, Ning Cheng had already formed a rough layout of the illusory array in his mind. He refined a special array flag, and by this time, the second wave of killing power from the illusory array had already descended. Boulders fell from the sky. These boulders were mixed in with some of the bigger stone mountains, and they blasted towards each and every one of them. As long as one remained in this illusory array, even if one shut off their 6 senses, it would give them a feeling of being crushed into powder. Mu Yueping gritted her teeth and let the boulders fall. She knew that even if she tried to escape, she could not escape from the illusory array. She might as well listen to Ning Cheng and stay here. The old man's expression turned solemn. He knew that this illusory array would most likely turn into a real killing array after this wave of attacks. If Ning Cheng could not break the array after a while, then he would have to leave first. Yu looked at the sky full of boulders and stone mountains crashing down with disappointment in his eyes. From the looks of it, this Ning Cheng did not have much of an ability. He even recklessly broke into the Mao clan's territory. Boom boom boom. The bombardment of boulders and stone mountains within the illusory array looked exactly the same as the real one. The second wave of bombardment, despite being an attack from the illusory array, still caused the old man to vomit blood. Mu Yueping, on the other hand, directly fell to the ground and fainted. As for Chasing Bull, its figure could not be seen on the ground. As for Yu, after enduring such a terrifying bombardment, his body only shook a few times before returning to its original state. Yu's expression turned a little ugly. Ning Cheng's death was not a big deal, but it also exposed the fact that he had a second avatar. The avatar was his secret, and every time it was exposed, it was a loss for him. The killing intent within the illusory array condensed once again, and the killing power was even more terrifying than the previous few times. Yu Yu sighed, and his figure swayed slightly. Ripples appeared around his body before his figure disappeared completely. The next wave of attacks definitely would not be an illusory array attack, but a real killing array attack. The killing array attack of the slaughtering immortal illusionary killing array was not something that ordinary people could resist. If he did not leave at this time, then when would he leave? The old man stood in the same place with a bitter face, holding a talisman in his hand. He wanted to use it, but also felt a little reluctant. This time, after he restored his corporeal body, the first thing he did was to find an escape talisman that could allow him to escape in an instant. It was not easy to find it, but unfortunately he would have to use it so soon. The rumbling sounds coming from the illusory killing array grew louder and louder, and the entire space shook from the rumbling sounds. The oppressive death aura made it difficult for people to breathe, and the dense killing power condensed within this terrifying death aura. Ningqing knew that this wave contained the real killing intent, and he had just finished refining the last array flag. Just when the killing power was about to reach his head, Ningqing suddenly stood up and raised his hand to throw out several array flags. The surrounding fog-like scene disappeared in an instant, and the entire space suddenly became clear. This was still the Mao clan's backyard, the same place where they had fallen into the illusory array. A blade-light vortex with a deathly aura descended, and the vortex targeted the position of the few people. Further away, dozens of Mao clan's experts all brought out their weapons and stared at the killing array with surging killing intent. Apparently, once someone escaped from the killing array, they would be blasted back again. Ningqing gave a cold snort and raised his hand to throw out hundreds of array flags. However, his gaze remained fixed on Yu Yu's position. Yu Yu had escaped, and he also knew about the method of escape. It was the doppelganger teleportation spirit technique. From this, it could be seen that Yu Yu had more than one doppelganger. Since it wasn't just one, then it wasn't just two. This Yu Yu truly hit himself very deeply. He came here to help, but once he destroyed the Mao clan, maybe he would have to give him the great phaseless spirit technique. Once he couldn't beat him, he could easily escape. However, he still acted as if he was willing to open his heart and confide in him. Previously, he had already said that he could escape. In other words, even if he escaped, he wouldn't have a bad impression of Ningqing. This Yu Yu wasn't simple. However, since Ningqing had already escaped, he could only dream about taking away the great phaseless technique from his hands for free. Ningqing's dozens of array flags fell down, and the surroundings of the killing array once again turned blurry. A powerful Dao Charm aura surged out. This Dao Charm aura condensed into a powerful blocking force that swept away the blade-light maelstrom heading towards Chasing Bull and Mu Yueping. The old fogey put away the escape talisman in embarrassment and brought out the Heaven and Earth Cauldron. The Heaven and Earth Cauldron turned into a cauldron mountain and absorbed all the blade-light maelstrom heading towards him. Ningqing had already broken through the illusory array, and the surrounding laws were already very clear. If he couldn't block these blade-light maelstrom, then he might as well buy a piece of tofu and crash into it. What's going on? Why can't we see them? A Mao clan's elder with Dao fusion cultivation suddenly spoke up in surprise. Mao Wuqing snorted. You don't need to remind us. Everyone knows. Mao Tai, whose cultivation had dropped a lot, spoke up with a gloomy expression. This person can't be underestimated. He's very strange. He should have broken through our slaughtering immortal illusionary killing array and isolated our spiritual consciousness and sight with an array formation. Everyone be careful. Although the slaughtering immortal illusionary killing array isn't an ancient array formation, it's not easy to break it. I guess he must have found the life gate of the array formation and opened it. A sinister-looking old man spoke up in a sharp voice. Alas, it's a pity. If the slaughtering immortal illusionary killing array didn't have a life gate, then I'd like to see what he could do. A Mao clan's junior with low cultivation who didn't understand array formations muttered. Idiot, how can there be death without life? If you don't understand array formations, Then don't embarrass yourself here. Everyone, shut up. Maokai, Zhenyu, you two continue to lead the others to activate the slaughtering immortal illusionary killing array. Little brother Tai and I will lead 3 Dao fusion cultivators into the confinement killing array. With the strength shown by Ningcheng, I'm afraid that the confinement killing array alone won't be enough. Mao Wuqing spoke with a solemn expression. But a man with cultivation no weaker than Mao Tai spoke hesitantly before Mao Wuqing interrupted him. There's no but. Have you forgotten how the Lu clan disappeared back then? How could the Lu clan's array be weaker than our Mao clan's? Wasn't the Lu clan destroyed by a primordial chaos sacred emperor? Don't forget that when the Lu clan was destroyed, Lu Qianhe was still in heavens beyond. With Mao Wuqing's words, no one dared to say anything else. Everyone quickly separated. Before anyone could make a move, everyone from the Mao clan felt the surrounding space turn dark. An aura that suppressed and trembled, even their souls blasted over. The aura of death instantly filled the surrounding space. Oh no, we've fallen into a confinement array. The old man with the sharp voice sounded a little panicked. Mao Wuqing's heart sank. He hadn't expected Ningcheng's array Dao level to be so powerful. In a short time he had not only broken the Mao clan's immortal slaughtering confinement killing array, but also used the immortal slaughtering array to set up a counter-killing array, without anyone from the Mao clan noticing. This counter-killing array must have used the immortal slaughtering confinement killing array. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to set it up so quickly. Since the Mao clan likes confinement arrays so much, I'll use the confinement array to test the Mao clan's array Dao experts today. Ningcheng's slightly cold voice rang in every Mao clan member's ears. Chapter 12-13. Mao Wuxiao's heart sank. The Mao clan did not have any array Dao experts here. The immortal slaughtering illusionary killing array was the Mao clan's defensive array formation, which had been set up a long time ago. As long as there were array flags, it could be controlled. There was no need to be proficient in array formations. Ningcheng could control the immortal slaughtering illusionary killing array and use it against the Mao clan. His array Dao level was many times stronger than the Mao clan's. If the Mao clan did not find a way to break out of this trap array, they would end up like the Lu clan. In fact, Mao Wuxia was overthinking. Ningcheng's array Dao level was strong, but not strong enough to use the immortal slaughtering illusionary killing array to kill the Mao clan in such a short time. He had just set up a blindfold restriction array, which could not block a blow from the Mao clan's Dao integration expert. As long as Mao Wuxiao made a move, the trap array would disappear immediately. Then they would have to fight with their real strength. Stop. Daoist Ning, we can discuss anything. If we really fight, it will be an unresolvable hatred. Mao Wuxiao shouted decisively. Mao Wuxiao was very cautious and did not make a move. He was not very proficient in the array Dao, but the immortal slaughtering illusionary killing array was safer if it did not move at the beginning. Boom. The trap array space roared, and an illusory bridge shadow appeared in the minds of all the Mao clan members in the trap array. Following that, streams of black mist rose up from the entrapment array. In a short period of time, the black mist formed a huge millstone. The huge millstone began to rotate slowly. 7 Bridges Spiritual Technique. Mao Wuxiao screamed and then shouted, "Do it! We can't let this millstone rotate." As the millstone rotated, the invisible stone bridge became clearer in his consciousness, and the killing aura in the trap array space became more intense. Once this huge millstone completely rolled up, how terrifying would it be? At this time, even if Mao Wuxiao was afraid of the array formation, he did not dare to continue waiting. Stop. A terrifying aura that made people tremble followed the voice. Even with Ningcheng's strength, he had to take a few steps back. Ningcheng did not think about it, and directly removed the Mao clan's trap array. At the same time he retreated to the side of Mu Yueping and Chasing Bull, who had yet to react, and stopped attacking. The 5th reincarnation bridge also disappeared. Ningcheng had already made up his mind to tear through the void and escape at any time. Even if he had to burn his lifespan and essence blood, he had to tear through the void in this place. Ningcheng was sure that he had never seen such a powerhouse before. Even Isa, who was at the perfected Dao integration stage, would be nothing in the face of such an expert. Ning Cheng suspected that this person was most likely a third-step Dao confirming expert. This person didn't attack him as soon as he arrived, only suppressing him with his aura. It was obvious that he wasn't from the Mao family. His trapping array was just a paper tiger, so he might as well remove it himself to give the visitor some face. Ning Cheng had just retreated to Mu Yueping and Chasing Bull's side, when a yellow-browed man landed between the Mao clan and Ning Cheng. This time, Ning Cheng paid special attention to the Dao charm aura coming from this yellow-browed man. It gave him a feeling of vastness, like a universe of its own unfathomable depths. Seeing this man's cultivation, Ning Cheng suddenly thought of his creation divine spear. When he shot out his creation divine spear, it also carried the same kind of aura as if it could smash out an entire universe. Was this the aura of a third-step world creation realm expert? Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He wondered if a third-step world creation realm expert was really that terrifying. This yellow-browed man's aura was vast, and Ning Cheng was sure that the other party's strength wasn't something he could block. However, this strength was still far from the third step in his heart. Ning Cheng couldn't imagine how powerful a third-step expert would be, but he definitely would be much stronger than this yellow-browed man. This was just a feeling of strength. Ning Cheng always felt that this yellow-browed man lacked something in terms of the Dao charm aura. That missing thing seemed to be a must for becoming a third-step expert. His current strength was only at the early stage primordial chaos. Although he had this feeling, he couldn't describe it clearly. Mao Wuxia was pleasantly surprised when he saw the visitor. Plus, Ning Cheng had put away the trapping array. He quickly reached out to stop the other Mao clan disciples from attacking. He stepped forward and bowed. Mao clan's Mao Wuxiao greets Dao Monarch Heavenly Master. Dao Monarch Heavenly Master? Ning Cheng had some doubts, but he didn't speak. He had already given face to this expert by stopping. If the other party continued to be aggressive, he could leave with Chasing Bull and Mu Yueping. As for the old fart, Ning Cheng knew that he had a way to escape. Moreover, Ning Cheng had already seen the old fart's selfish behavior. Mu Yueping came back to her senses and hurried to Ning Cheng's side. She bowed to the yellow-browed man and greeted him. Greetings, Dao Monarch Heavenly Master. After saying that, she said to Ning Cheng, Big Brother Ning, this is the top expert of Heavens Beyond, Heavenly Master Dao Monarch Feng. Mu Yueping knew that her voice transmission was useless. In front of the Heavenly Master, she couldn't even think about using a voice transmission. She had never seen Feng Huangmei before, and only knew that he was the Heavenly Master of Heavens Beyond. The yellow-browed man nodded and said to Ning Cheng, Yes, I'm Feng Huangmei of Heavens Beyond. However, I'm not the top expert of Heavens Beyond. Daoist Ning's array Dao is amazing, and your strength is so powerful that I'm amazed. However, I promised Mao Tianqi of the Mao family that I would protect the Mao family from being destroyed before he returns. If the Mao family has really offended you, I hope you can give me face and let's sit down and discuss it. After Feng Huangmei said that, Ning Cheng knew that it would be very difficult to continue attacking the Mao family today. In fact, he did not have many regrets. Just now he had already seen that apart from Mao Tai and Mao Wuyao, the Mao family had another Dao integration expert, who was slightly stronger than Mao Tai. If he wanted to kill 3 Dao integration experts and those primordial chaos experts, he might have to use his trump card and pay a certain price. Dealing with 1 Dao integration expert and 2 Dao integration experts was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The effect of 1 + 1 was definitely far greater than 2. In a place like Heavens Beyond, it was fine to expose some strength. The key was that he could not be injured. If he was injured, no matter how fast he recovered, accidents might happen. Besides, Feng Huangmei was the Heavenly Master of Heavens Beyond. How could he be the Heavenly Master without some strength? Once he was injured, Feng Huangmei would definitely take him down at all costs. What puzzled Ning Cheng was that if Feng Huangmei was a creation realm expert, why would he be so polite to him? He could just attack him directly. Although he knew that Feng Huangmei could not take him down even if he attacked him, it was the simplest and most effective way to do so. After all, Feng Huangmei did not know who Ning Cheng was. Although Ning Cheng did not understand why Feng Huangmei was so polite to Ning Cheng, most of the sacred emperors of the Mao family knew very well. Back then, The person who had destroyed the Lu family had also been a primordial chaos sacred emperor with a higher cultivation level than Ningcheng. When that primordial chaos sacred emperor had destroyed the Lu family, Lu Qianhe had not arrived immediately. At that time, Feng Huangmei had also attacked, but he had not gained much of an upper hand. After Lu Qianhe had arrived, Feng Huangmei had retreated decisively. The primordial chaos sacred emperor and Lu Qianhe had fought out of heavens beyond. After that, Lu Qianhe had not returned to heavens beyond, but that primordial chaos expert had. He had been invited to a banquet in heavens beyond because Feng Huangmei had suggested it. At this banquet, Feng Huangmei had lowered his posture and taken the initiative to toast. Only then did this matter come to an end. After this incident, Feng Huangmei had kept a much lower profile in heavens beyond. Mao Wuxiao knew very well that given the potential and strength that Ningcheng had displayed, if Ningcheng had attacked the Mao family regardless of everything, Feng Huangmei would definitely not have participated. At most, he would have just stood by and watched. The reason Feng Huangmei had come was because he had an agreement with the Mao family's patriarch, Mao Tianqi. Mao Wuxiao knew the reason behind this, but Ningcheng did not. He was worried that the Mao family and Feng Huangmei would join forces to deal with him. So he naturally did not dare to make a move. Ningcheng said calmly, "I'm here today for 3 things. If I can't achieve them, I will not hesitate to attack even if the Heavenly Master Dao Lord interferes." Even if he did not attack, Ningcheng did not want to weaken the other party in the negotiation. Mao Wuxiao did not dare to wait for Feng Huangmei to express his stance. Thus he said directly, "The Mao family has no enmity with Daoist Ning. If we have offended you in any way, the Mao family is willing to apologize." After saying this, Mao Wuxiao also felt aggrieved. The Mao family was one of the 6 major forces in heavens beyond. Since when had it become so timid? Feng Huangmei did not speak, obviously tacitly agreeing to Ningcheng and Mao Wuxiao's words. Ningcheng already understood in his heart that Feng Huangmei's support for the Mao family was only to prevent him from attacking. He would not join forces with the Mao family to deal with him. Since he knew this, Ningcheng said without any scruples, "Back then, the Mao family auctioned the divine power Nirvana Flame divine power to find people with karma cultivation techniques. In the end, they took my friend Jiang Man away, and have not heard from him since. Since the Heavenly Master Dao Lord Feng of Heavens Beyond is here, I naturally have to give him face. However, if the Mao family cannot send my friend Jiang Man out today, I will definitely kill them all." Ningcheng's last sentence was filled with killing intent. Obviously, he would immediately attack if Mao Wuxiao dared to say that there was no such thing. Feng Huangmei frowned slightly. Ningcheng had given him face. However, Ningcheng's attitude was tough, so it was obvious that he had not given him much face. Mao Wuxiao's face suddenly turned ugly. He had not expected that Ningcheng would come because of this matter. From the beginning to the end, he had thought that Ningcheng had found an excuse to kill Mao Yi, because he knew that the Mao family had a karma cultivation technique divine power. How can the Mao family have a karma cultivation technique? I wonder who Jiang Man is. Mao Yi felt that it was a little difficult for him to say this. If it had been an ordinary matter, he would have agreed directly. However, the karma cultivation technique was something that the patriarch wanted to find. How could he dare to make the decision? Moreover, Ningcheng would definitely have something else to say after sending Jiang Man out. Chapter 12-14. Dao Friend Ning. Are you sure that your friend Jiang Man was taken away by the Mao clan? Feng Huangmei's tone was slightly cold. He feared Ningcheng, but not the current Ningcheng. He feared that if he couldn't keep Ningcheng here, it would be a disaster in the future. Mao Tianqi had given him great benefits. Now that the Mao clan was in trouble, it would be a bit too much if he didn't say a word. Besides, he didn't like Ningcheng's aggressive attitude. Ningcheng raised his hand and took out a crystal ball. The crystal ball projected a void image in front of everyone. Everyone could clearly see Jiang Man, and Mao Kai who took Jiang Man away. He had spent nearly 100 million spirit crystals to buy this crystal ball. As for whether taking it out would bring hatred to the myriad world auction, Ningcheng didn't care about it. There were no fools here. As soon as they saw the image, They knew that Mao Kai took away Jiang Man. While everyone was still watching the image, they suddenly felt a chill in the space. Everyone thought that Ning Cheng had made a move and immediately brought out their weapons to protect themselves. Unexpectedly at this time, Ning Cheng's figure flashed once again, before he immediately retreated back. However, there was one more person in his hand. In the image, Ning Cheng grabbed Mao Kai's neck, as if he was picking up a chicken. "What are you doing?" Mao Wujin's expression changed drastically. At the same time, he felt even more horrified. Mao Kai was a primordial essence holy emperor of the Mao clan. Yet Ning Cheng easily subdued him with a sneak attack. Just now, Ning Cheng had indeed subdued Mao Kai with a sneak attack. While everyone was watching the image, he suddenly used the frozen space to subdue Mao Kai. He could have subdued Mao Kai without a sneak attack, but not here. In this place, as long as he made a move, the Mao clan would swarm him. What am I doing? Because he took away Jiang Man. I didn't do anything to the Mao clan for the sake of Dao Monarch Heavenly Master, but that doesn't mean I can't take away this person. Ning Cheng's tone was cold. Feng Huangmei lowered the threat of his Dao charm at this time. Ning Cheng's actions just now had shocked him. In fact, even if he wanted to stop Ning Cheng's short-distance teleportation speed, it would be difficult. In other words, even if his strength far surpassed Ning Cheng, it would be almost impossible for him to stop Ning Cheng. Only he could see that Ning Cheng still had a pair of advanced twin heavenly cloud wings. Since he couldn't stop Ning Cheng, he didn't want to offend him. Feng Wujin didn't want to become a powerful expert in the future. He would be an idiot if he were to repeat the same mistake as the Lu family. Go bring Jiang Man here. Mao Wuxiao's face darkened. He could tell that if he didn't bring Jiang Man here, the Mao family wouldn't be able to escape this calamity. Moreover, Feng Huangmei had converged his imposing aura, which clearly indicated that he wanted him to compromise with Ning Cheng. When Mu Yueping heard this, her eyes suddenly turned red. She was most worried about Jiang Man's death. The connection with Mu, had had died, Cheng, and had family. Had no Mu Cheng was. Family Cheng had's Jiang Cheng had, who was still. Jiang Feng's Cheng. He Jiang. Cheng also Jiang Cheng. Was still. Cheng didn't Cheng not. Alive. Cheng. Manhe. Jiang Man Cheng. It was indeed Jiang Man who was brought over, but Jiang Man without a physical body. Jiang Man's essence spirit was sealed in a crystal ball. The essence spirit was crooked and extremely scattered. It looked like it could collapse at any time. Jiang Man was a Dao incarnation sage emperor at the peak of Dao birth. Even if his essence spirit lived for millions of years, it wouldn't collapse. The crystal ball released a yin qi. Obviously, Jiang Man's essence spirit was burned by the power of the yin fire. Ning Cheng clenched his fists. He knew why Jiang Man hadn't died yet. The real karma cultivation method wasn't with Jiang Man, but with him. Brother man. Mu Yueping called out in a hoarse voice. Her voice was so weak that it couldn't be heard. The crooked essence spirit in the crystal ball trembled slightly, because of the hoarse voice. It looked even more scattered. Mu Yueping quickly covered her mouth, and didn't dare to make a sound. But her tears flowed down like a river bursting its banks. Mao Wuxiao handed the crystal ball to Feng Huangmei and said apologetically to Ning Cheng. Dao friend Ning, Jiang Man has been handed over to Heavenly Master Dao Monarch. His body suffered some damage, but my Mao clan will definitely double the compensation. I asked Dao friend Ning to return Mao Kai to my Mao clan. Ning Cheng didn't speak, and just looked at Feng Huangmei. Feng Huangmei sighed and handed Jiang Man's crystal ball to Ning Cheng. Dao friend Ning, I'm also sorry that this happened. Fortunately, Mao Wuxiao doesn't deny it. Since there is compensation, let's discuss it. Ning Cheng nodded and took Jiang Man's essence spirit. He instantly melted the yin fire, and took out a medicinal pill that turned into mist and entered the crystal ball. Then he didn't return Jiang Man's essence spirit to Mu Yueping. Instead he said to Mu Yueping, Junior apprentice sister Yueping, brother Jiang is unwell. Stay with me for the time being. Mu Yueping nodded silently with tears. She knew that only Ning Cheng could help Jiang Man now. Seeing Ning Cheng put away Jiang Man's essence spirit with a calm expression, Mao Wuxiao felt a bit relieved. With Ning Cheng's strength, as long as Jiang Man's essence spirit remained, it should be possible for him to restore his corporeal body. The only difficulty was that after restoring his corporeal body, his cultivation would drop significantly, and his qualifications would also drop. Unless he used a top-grade treasure to reconstruct his corporeal body, it was just that even his Mao clan would find it difficult to find such a treasure. Dao friend Ning, can you now return my Mao clan's Mao Kai? Looking at Ning Cheng holding Mao Kai in his hands like a chicken, Mao Wuxiao spoke up again helplessly. Ning Cheng gave an sound and spoke up calmly, one thing at a time. After this matter is resolved, we can exchange Mao Kai. Mao Wuxiao quickly spoke up. Then I asked Dao friend Ning to speak. As for the compensation, although my Mao clan has been short on resources recently, we will try our best to satisfy Dao friend Ning. That's easy to say. Ning Cheng's tone turned even more gentle. First of all, take out Jiang Man's ring and everything inside Jiang Man's ring. It's here. Soon, someone brought out Jiang Man's ring. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through it and handed the ring to Mu Yueping. See what's missing. At the same time, he sent a sound transmission to Mu Yueping, asking Mu Yueping to say that a cultivation method was missing. Mu Yueping didn't dare to send a sound transmission in front of Feng Huangmei, but Ning Cheng didn't feel any pressure sending a sound transmission. Although Feng Huangmei was strong, he still couldn't catch Ning Cheng's sound transmission. Mu Yueping's spiritual consciousness swept inside and then spoke up in a hoarse voice. It's all brother man's things, only a cultivation method is missing. Okay. Ning Cheng looked at Mao Wuxiao and continued. Take out the Nirvana Flame Spirit technique that Jiang Man bought at the auction, and the missing karma cultivation method from Jiang Man's ring. Mao Wuxiao's face suddenly turned gloomy. He was most afraid of Ning Cheng saying this, and now Ning Cheng really said it. He subconsciously looked at Feng Huangmei and found that Feng Huangmei was looking into the distance, seemingly studying the slaughter immortal illusionary killing array that Ning Cheng had broken before, and didn't care about him at all. Mao Wuxiao took in a deep breath and spoke up in a deep voice. The Nirvana Flame Spirit technique indeed belongs to Jiang Man, but we didn't find the karma cultivation method in Jiang Man's ring. If we found this cultivation method, maybe Jiang Man would have already died. Ning Cheng didn't comment. Then take out the Nirvana Flame Spirit technique. While talking, Ning Cheng raised his hand, and the first bridge of coping, the second looking home bridge, and the third forgetting river bridge descended with surging Dao charm. A cold aura of death instantly filled the entire Mao clan, and the tumbling blood river felt as if it would swallow up the entire Mao clan at any time. Mao Wuxiao's expression changed drastically. He knew that Ning Cheng was just giving him a warning, because the fifth reincarnation bridge that Ning Cheng brought out wasn't one of them. Feng Huangmei looked at the three bridges brought out by Ning Cheng and showed a cautious expression. Since Ning Cheng could bring out 3 bridges, it meant that Ning Cheng still had 4 bridges that he hadn't brought out. The most powerful aspect of the 7 bridges spirit technique was when all 7 bridges came out. Once all 7 bridges came out, even if Ning Cheng's strength wasn't as good as his, even he would find it hard to resist. Thinking of this, Feng Huangmei didn't want to care about the Mao clan's matters, and turned his gaze away once again. It's the Nirvana Flame Spirit technique. Mao Wuxiao sighed, and could only leave the Nirvana Flame Spirit technique to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng didn't put away the 3 bridges and still spoke up calmly. There's also the Karma Spirit technique. Ning Cheng didn't know if the Mao clan had the Karma Spirit technique or not, but he felt sure that the Great Phaseless Spirit technique was in the Mao clan. You had personally said it. But Ning Cheng wasn't sure if the Karma Spirit technique that Jiang Man gave him was complete or not. That's because he hadn't even seen the Karma Spirit technique that Jiang Man gave him. Mao Wuxiao trembled with anger. He had heard Ning Cheng's words before, and thought that Ning Cheng wouldn't want the Karma Spirit technique after obtaining the Nirvana Flame Spirit technique. It seemed that he was too naive. Sure enough, a dog that bites doesn't bark. This Ning Cheng had a calm look on his face, as if he could easily get rid of him. Only now did he realize that this was just the beginning. A chill rose in his heart. This Ning Cheng seemed even more ruthless than the one who destroyed the Lu clan in the past. Mao Wuxiao took a deep breath and directly took out a jade strip, and threw it to Ning Cheng. This is my Mao clan's Karma Spirit technique. Dao friend Ning, You should be able to use it now. Killing people is just a matter of nodding your head. Dao friend Ning has pushed my Mao clan too far. At worst, the fish dies and the net splits. Ning Qing didn't pay any attention to Mao Wuxiao's words, and sent his spiritual consciousness into the jade strip. Soon he understood the cultivation method in the jade strip in his hand. It was the 12 secret words mantra. Ning Qing didn't know how many branches of the karma cultivation method there were, but he felt sure that the 12 secret words mantra was the same as the big and small phaseless cultivation method. It was a part of the karma cultivation method, or rather a branch. He had heard of the 9 secret words mantra before, but now he saw the 12 secret words mantra in this place. Ning Qing put away the 12 secret words mantra and spoke with a calm tone. Also, Dao friend, you use great phaseless cultivation method. Dao friend, you came with me. Although he left, he asked me to take back his cultivation method. Since he has cooperated with me, I can't help but respect his words. If Mao Wuxiao hadn't reached Dao unification, he would have already spat out a mouthful of blood. If Ning Qing had asked for these things, he probably wouldn't have given them to him. At worst, they would have fought to the death. But now that he had given so much, would all his previous efforts go to waste? Chapter 12:15. Feng Huangmei's mouth twitched when he heard this. Ning Qing was too ruthless. There were 4 major branches of the karma cultivation method, and this time, he took both of the Mao family's major branches. Feng Huangmei knew all too well that the Mao family possessed the great formless method, and the 12 syllables mantra. Mao Wuxiao clenched his fists, then relaxed them, then clenched them again. Finally, he looked at the 3 stone bridges filled with death aura and the surging blood river in the void. Finally, he sighed and took out an ancient jade slip and threw it to Ning Qing. If Feng Huangmei didn't intervene, with Ning Qing's strength, even if he couldn't kill the Mao family's Dao integration holy emperors, he could still slaughter the Mao family's disciples. If the Mao family was slaughtered, what was the point of a few Dao integration holy emperors? This time, after throwing the jade slip to Ning Qing, he didn't even bother to speak. After Ning Qing confirmed that it was indeed the great formless method, he threw the ancient jade slip into his ring. The old man on the side almost drooled as he watched Ning Qing put away the 2 major branches of the karma cultivation method. Although the minor formless method in his hand was also a branch of the karma cultivation method, it was still inferior to the great formless method and the 12 syllables mantra. He was thinking in his heart as to what he could do to make this senior Ning Qing give him a copy of these 2 cultivation methods. Family head Mao, you just said that the 12 syllables mantra is your Mao family's cultivation method. Then let me ask you, how many people in your Mao family cultivate the 12 syllables mantra? After Ning Qing put away the things, he didn't return them to Mao Kai. Instead, he asked an irrelevant question. Mao Wuxiao didn't know what Ning Qing meant, but he said with a gloomy face, the 12 syllables mantra is my Mao family's cultivation method. My Mao family's thousands of core disciples all cultivate the 12 syllables mantra. Ning Qing then asked, I'm afraid the Mao family has far more than a few thousand disciples, right? Only these few people cultivate the 12 syllables mantra? Does this cultivation method really belong to the Mao family? I've already given you the cultivation method, but you're still complaining. Mao Wuyao snorted. This is the Mao family's rule. The 12 syllables Sanskrit is the Mao family's top-notch cultivation technique. Naturally, the people who cultivate it are the least. Ning Qing nodded. I understand. Jiang Man's corporeal body was destroyed, and his life essence was burned for several years. Just when Mao Wuxiao was waiting for Ning Qing to open his lion's mouth, Ning Qing suddenly changed the topic. In fact, these things are not important. Now we can talk about other compensations. Mao Wuxiao gnashed his teeth and said, Say it, the Mao family will compensate according to the circumstances. Ning Qing gave an end sound, good, according to the images that I have investigated, everyone can also see it. Back then, Jiang Man used his own items to purchase the Nirvana Fire Divine Art for 130 million. Afterward, he didn't even get to see this divine art before he was brought here by the Mao family. According to family head Mao, the Nirvana Fire Divine Art was obviously inferior to the 12 syllables mantra. Since the Mao clan had thousands of people cultivating the 12 syllables incantation, then the number of people cultivating the Nirvana Fire Divine Art would probably be more than 10,000. Since Daolord Empyrean Lord is here, I'll have to give him some face. How about this? Jiang Man's Nirvana Fire Sacred Art was bought for 100 million, and the Mao family had 5,000 people cultivating it. I believe that everyone who cultivates this divine ability has carved a copy of it. This way, it adds up to 500 billion high-grade divine crystals. Family head Mao, please pay for this. Ningcheng, you're going too far. Mao Wuxia roared angrily. He couldn't bear it any longer. Even if he sold off the entire Mao family, he might not be able to gather 500 billion divine crystals. Feng Huang also frowned. It seemed that Ningcheng was determined to destroy the Mao family. Although he was unwilling to fight with Ningcheng for the Mao family, he was still the Heaven Master of Heavens Beyond. If he didn't do anything when he was forced to this point, he would be ridiculed in Heavens Beyond in the future. Not only was Mao Wuxiao furious, but the people of the Mao family were also like ignited cannons. Violent Dao rune auras merged together, as if they could turn this place into nothingness at any time. Ningcheng's face froze. He lifted his foot, and another cyan stone arch bridge appeared under his feet. A surging and roaring yellow river surrounded him violently, as if it would pounce out in the next moment and swallow everything. The surging killing intent of the Dao runes surged on the roaring yellow river, becoming more and more intense. The yellow springs is boundless, without good or evil. Souls turn to dust, and spirits are lost. The words of the murderous Dao runes increased the oppressive aura of the river, and an even more intense death aura filled the air. The cultivators of the Mao family with low cultivation were shrouded by such a terrifying killing intent of the yellow springs. Their Dao rune auras immediately began to dissipate, and their auras slowly dissipated. The fourth yellow springs bridge? Mao Wuxiao's eyes narrowed, and his anger completely disappeared. The fourth Yellow Springs Bridge and the fifth Reincarnation Bridge had appeared. So Ningcheng most likely had the complete 7 bridges divine ability. Sensing the aura of the Mao family's disciples dissipating and their Dao runes loosening, Mao Wuxiao sighed helplessly as he looked at the somewhat fearful Feng Huang. Without the patriarch, the Mao family was indeed a second-rate family. Even a small primordial chaos sacred emperor had come to bully them. The Mao family will fight, Mao Jinyu said sternly. The Dao runes around him almost condensed into a substantial killing intent, waiting for Mao Wuxiao's order. Mao Wuxiao forcibly suppressed his endless anger and raised his hand to stop Mao Wuxiao. Fight? Fight with what? If he did not know Ningcheng's strength, he could still fight. Ningcheng had blasted off an arm of Mao Tai, who was at the mid-stage Dao integration realm, with one punch. If Qiu Yi, the manager of the Heavens Beyond Rest-In, had not stopped him, Mao Tai would have died in the Heavens Beyond Rest-In. With such terrifying strength and the 7 bridges divine ability, would he dare to fight? Feng Huang's eyebrows twitched. He had guessed correctly. Ningcheng had really mastered the 7 bridges divine ability. Should he still fight? If he failed to take down Ningcheng, not only would he be a scourge in the future, but his reputation in Heavens Beyond would also be damaged. After experiencing such a thing once, he was afraid that he would stop at his current cultivation level for the rest of his life. Daoist Ning, if you are determined to fight, the Mao family will accompany you to the end. Not to mention the Mao family, even the myriad realm auction might not be able to take out 500 billion divine crystals. Mao Wuxiao took a deep breath and said, if Ningcheng was unwilling to reduce the number, he would have to fight. Ningcheng said in a cold tone, how much can the Mao family take out? 100 billion divine crystals at most, Mao Wuxiao said in a deep voice. To Mao Wuxiao's surprise, Ningcheng nodded. Okay, 100 billion divine crystals it is. Take it out. Mao Wuxiao was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. If he had known that Ningcheng would be so straightforward, he definitely would not have said 100 billion. He would have said 50 billion divine crystals at most. Since he had agreed, Mao Wuxiao could only take out a ring and throw it to Ningcheng. Feng Huang heaved a sigh of relief. It was best not to fight. After Ningcheng checked the divine crystals, he suddenly said, today's matter will end here. As for Brother Jiang Man's physical body being destroyed, I won't ask the Mao family for compensation. Mao Wuxiao also heaved a sigh of relief. It was rare that Ning Cheng was so reasonable, and did not want the Mao family to compensate for the destruction of his physical body. But before he could thank him, Ning Cheng suddenly threw Mao Kai to him and said, I wanted to keep Mao Kai's essence spirit for a few years. But after thinking about it, I decided to forget about it. Be a generous person. Mao Wuxiao immediately felt that something was wrong. Sure enough, Mao Kai's body suddenly turned into a blood mist less than 10 feet away from his divine spear, and disappeared without a trace. Mao Kai's essence spirit, which was about to collapse, fled frantically in horror. The suppression of the 4 major bridges on him was too terrifying. Seeing this scene, Mao Wuxiao gritted his teeth, and his chest felt as if it was blocked. Ning Cheng will visit Dao Monarch Heavenly Master next time. I'll take my leave first today. While he vomited blood in depression, he finally saw Ning Cheng turn around and leave with his people. Well said, well said. After Feng Huangmei replied, his figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. He also did not have the face to continue visiting the Mao family. Although he managed to save the Mao family from destruction, the Mao family had suffered a huge loss this time. Master is mighty. Chasing Bull ran up to Ning Cheng with a dusty face, and spoke with a flattering tone. Ning Cheng patted the bull's head. You lazy thing. With so many resources in your hands, you only know how to eat, drink, and play. With such a low cultivation, an illusion array's killing intent can bury you underground. I'll give you a few more years. If you still can't reach Dao sculpting, you can fuck off. Ning Cheng had a good understanding of Chasing Bull's qualifications. It was a spirit beast. If it concentrated on cultivation, its cultivation wouldn't be so bad. Chasing Bull had to promise with a bitter face that it would work hard to improve its cultivation. But in its heart, it wailed that its happy days were coming to an end. Big brother Ning, are we still going to live in heavens beyond? Mu Yueping asked, but she was worried about Jiang Man's essence spirit. Ning Cheng pondered for a while and said, No, let's go to the Western Domain spatial rest stop opposite the Myriad World auction. He had fought against the manager of the Heavens Beyond rest stop, but he wasn't afraid of the manager and didn't want to stay in this rest stop. The Western Domain spatial rest stop looked much smaller than the Heavens Beyond rest stop. When Ning Cheng and the others came over, they saw a high-class suite inside. Ning Cheng almost fought with the Mao clan, but not many people knew about it. Ning Cheng and the others' cultivation could only be regarded as above average in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. Therefore, the rest stop didn't pay much attention to them. Senior. As soon as Ning Cheng and the others entered the rest stop, the old fogey called out with a flattering face. Ning Cheng understood the old fogey's thoughts and spoke with a calm voice. Which cultivation method do you want to see? The major formless cultivation method, or the 12 secret words mantra? When the old fogey heard Ning Cheng's words, he understood that Ning Cheng wouldn't give him both cultivation methods. Therefore, he said, this junior wants to see the major formless cultivation method. The major formless cultivation method was the largest branch of the karmic cultivation method. Only a fool would want to learn the 12 secret words mantra, which was a spirit technique. Ning Cheng nodded. It's not impossible to get the major formless cultivation method. Just use your minor formless cultivation method to exchange. The old fogey wailed in his heart. He knew that it wouldn't be so easy to obtain. Fortunately, exchanging the minor formless cultivation method for the major formless cultivation method would still earn him a lot. Chapter 12:16. The old man did not hesitate to take out an ancient jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng. Senior, this is this junior's minor phaseless technique. Ning Cheng put away the jade strip and spoke to the old man. I'll take a look first. I'll return the grand phaseless technique to you in a moment. We have a guest coming. The old fogey did not care about it. With his understanding of Ning Cheng, he knew that Ning Cheng would never let go of his minor phaseless technique. Besides, even if Ning Cheng did not give him the minor phaseless technique, he had already memorized this cultivation method by heart. Dao friend Ning, are you here? Myriad World Auctions Shi Lin has come to visit. Ning Cheng's voice had just ended when Shi Lin's voice came through the door. Ningqing opened the restrictions around the room and came out with a smile. So it turns out that manager she came in person. Hurry up and enter. This Myriad Realms auction was indeed formidable. He had just arrived at the inn, and Shilin had already followed him. For Shilin to arrive so quickly, it was obvious that he knew about him dealing with the Mao family. After Shilin came in and sat down, Ningqing took out the Heavenly Alliance's Stardew and poured a cup for Shilin. Then he asked with a smile, "I wonder if manager she has any advice for coming here?" Shilin quickly spoke up. "I wouldn't dare to advise you. I came here to congratulate you on returning the item to its rightful owner. Fellow Taoist Ning has managed to save your friend. One more thing, and that is to return some spirit crystals to fellow Taoist Ning. Previously, fellow Taoist Ning only asked for 30 million spirit crystals at my Myriad Realms auction to inquire about 3 years' worth of recordings. Lu Bai doesn't know much about this. Taking 80 million divine crystals from you is too much." After saying that, Shilin took out a ring and handed it to Ningqing. "This contains the refunded 50 million spirit crystals. I hope Dao friend Ning doesn't mind my Myriad World Auction's mistake in this matter." "Thank you very much." Ningqing also didn't remain polite. 30 million spirit crystals for 3 years' worth of video recordings was already a black mark. As for charging 80 million spirit crystals, it was simply insane. Shilin returned the god crystals to him. If he didn't accept it, it would only cause Shilin to think too much. If he accepted it, it would be good for both of them. In any case, he didn't intend to become enemies with the Myriad World Auction. Seeing Ningqing put away the spirit crystals, Shilin felt overjoyed. He picked up the cup of wine in front of him and took a sip. He then put down the cup in surprise and asked, "Dao friend Ning, is this the Heaven Alliance's Stardew?" Ningqing nodded. "Yes, this is indeed the Heaven Alliance's Stardew. The Heavenly Alliance star, Isa, has a good relationship with me. This is also a gift from him." Shilin secretly nodded in his heart. Sure enough, this Dao friend Ning wasn't an ordinary primordial chaos holy emperor. If he was an ordinary primordial chaos sacred emperor, how could he become friends with Isa? It was said that Isa was already at the half-step integration realm. Although the rumors might not necessarily be true, Isa was definitely at the perfected Dao integration realm. The Mao family has been running amok in the beyond of heaven and earth. Taoist Ning, you've taught them a lesson this time. Shilin decided to rope in an expert with great potential like Ningqing. Since they wanted to rope him in, they had to be on the same side. The Myriad World Auction House handed over the video to Ningqing without informing the Mao family in advance, which was tantamount to offending the Mao family. Ningqing naturally understood Shilin's meaning and showed a faint smile. "I'm just looking for them to take back what belonged to my friend." Shilin drank another mouthful of wine and spoke with some disdain. "The Mao clan has been bullying the weak for a long time. Do you know how the Mao clan's 12 syllables mantra came about? It turns out that the 12 syllables mantra belonged to a foreign primordial chaos sacred emperor in the beyond of heaven and earth. This primordial chaos sacred emperor had settled down in the beyond of heaven and earth with his family, because he had accidentally exposed that he cultivated the 12-word Sanskrit. The Mao family had found an excuse to kill his entire family and snatch the 12-word Sanskrit. Many people in the beyond of heaven and earth know about this. However, the Mao family is powerful, so nobody dares to provoke them. Ningqing secretly thought that the Mao family was indeed used to robbing and was ruthless. For the sake of a cultivation technique, under the circumstances where there was no enmity between them, he killed them all. Shilin sighed and said, "That primordial chaos sacred emperor was also very strong. The Mao family lost 6 late-stage primordial chaos experts to kill him. That's because the primordial chaos sacred emperor's 12 syllables mantra was cultivated to an extremely profound level. Even though he was killed by the Mao family, there was still resentment lingering at the place where he perished all year round. This resentment formed a faint resentment whirlpool that did not disperse for many years. The people of the beyond of heaven and earth call the place where the primordial chaos sacred emperor perished the land of karma and resentment." Ningqing sighed in his heart. He had been a small cultivator with no foundation to this day. How many times had he almost been killed in between? The vast void contained limitless possibilities, as well as innumerable dangers. How many people had been killed because of this, just like the primordial chaos sacred emperor, who had been killed by the Mao family? Take Jiang Man for example. If he had not come here, Jiang Man would probably have perished. Ning Cheng, who did not want to talk about this, changed the topic and said, "If manager Shi had not come, I would have gone to look for you." Shi Lin immediately said, "I came here today because of this matter. Didn't Taoist Ning say that you were interested in the Myriad Realm Auction's Growing Soil and Connate Dragon Ball?" After some discussion, the Myriad Realm Auction has decided to use another method. Upon hearing this, Ning Cheng hurriedly asked, "May I know what method the Myriad Realm Auction will use?" Shi Lin said with a smile, "We've decided to use an auction method. You know that the Growing Soil and Connate Dragon Ball are the top treasures of the Myriad Realm Auction. Using an auction method can better attract the popularity of the Myriad Realm Auction. Of course, in the end, these two things will definitely belong to Taoist Ning. Besides divine crystals, divine spirit meridians, and divine essence pills, the auction will also accept the barter of various treasures and Tao fruits. I believe that no one can take out Taoist Ning's chaos chi and quintessential essence of the universe. Even in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth, I'm afraid no one would dare say that they are richer than Taoist Ning." Ning Cheng had a smile on his face. After Shi Lin spoke about the auction method, he immediately understood what the Myriad World Auction was planning. It could be said that the Myriad Realm Auction was too sinister. This kind of auction did have the influence factor that Shi Lin had mentioned, but it was probably more of an attempt to shift the pressure. Once he took out things like the quintessential essence of the universe and chaos chi, all eyes would be on him. This way, the Myriad Realm Auction would not be questioned by many forces because of the sudden appearance of the quintessential essence of the universe. Another point was that once someone took out something better than his quintessential essence of the universe and chaos chi, the Myriad Realm Auction would definitely not choose Ning Cheng. After the auction ended, no matter if he bought the living soil or took out the treasures to buy the living soil, he would be the target of many gazes. However, Ning Cheng acted as if he did not hear anything and said in a very understanding manner, "Of course, if I have such treasures, I will also take the opportunity to expand the influence of my auction. I'm definitely going to participate in this auction. Moreover, I'm determined to obtain these two treasures." Shi Lin took out a jade card with a smile and handed it to Ning Cheng while saying, "Taoist Ning, the auction will be brought forward to 20 days later. This is the jade card of the Myriad Realm Auction's number 8 private room. The Myriad Realm Auction only has 10 top-class private rooms, and each private room is a symbol of status." "Alright, thank you, Manager Shi." Ning Cheng took the jade card without hesitation, feeling even more disdainful in his heart. Moreover, they even prepared such a conspicuous, luxurious box for him. Did he, Ning Cheng, look like an idiot? Seeing Ning Cheng take the jade card, Shi Lin suddenly spoke up. "This auction also has a soul-gathering immortal lotus." Mu Yueping, who stood on the side, suddenly stood up when she heard about the soul-gathering immortal lotus and spoke up with excitement. "Is there really a soul-gathering immortal lotus?" The soul-gathering immortal lotus was one of the best spiritual treasures for an essence spirit to reshape a corporeal body. Using the soul-gathering immortal lotus to reshape a corporeal body would not cause a drop in one's aptitude, nor would it affect one's comprehension of the Grand Tao. For most cultivators, it could even improve one's perception aptitude and cultivation aptitude. Someone once deliberately destroyed their original corporeal body to use the soul-gathering immortal lotus to reshape a corporeal body. The soul-gathering immortal lotus also had another function, which was to create a top-grade avatar. This thing was a priceless treasure for any starry sky cultivator. Shi Lin said with a smile, "Of course, it's definitely not fake. I guess that Taoist Ning might need this treasure, so I came over to tell you. Senior, can you take out the soul-gathering immortal lotus and sell it to us?" Mu Yueping asked with a trembling voice. Shi Lin spoke up with an embarrassed look. "I'm afraid that it would be difficult. This was sent by a guest, and I can't make the decision." Ning Cheng stopped Mu Yueping, who still wanted to speak, and said to Shi Lin, Many thanks for Manager Shi's warning. In 20 days we will definitely go to the auction. Shi Lin stood up and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. In that case, I'll be taking my leave. Ning Cheng sent Shi Lin out of the room and activated the restrictions before speaking to Mu Yueping. It's no use. Even if he was willing to sell it to us, he wouldn't have given me the auction's jade card. You can rest assured that I will definitely bid for this soul-gathering immortal lotus. Ning Cheng returned to his room and immediately took out the karma cultivation method jade strip that Jiang Man had given him before. At the same time, he swept out with his spiritual consciousness. The grand Tao of the universe is the great karma. The Tao of karma is vast. Karma is the cause, and great karma originates from illusions. The black Tao strip that Jiang Man had given him was mysterious and complex. Ning Cheng felt sure that if not for him cultivating a good fortune cultivation method, it would not have been easy for him to understand this black strip. At the end of the first paragraph, there was a sentence: this secret art is the karma cultivation method's 10,000 will bright jade. Ning Cheng immediately understood what was going on. The jade strip that Jiang Man gave him was not the complete karma cultivation method, but the 10,000 will bright jade art of the karma cultivation method. The 12-character mantra plus the big and small formless cultivation method, as well as the 10,000 will bright jade art in his hands. From the looks of it, he had gathered the 4 major branches of the karma cultivation method. Ning Cheng put the 10,000 will bright jade art aside, and once again took out the great formless technique jade strip. Sure enough, the introduction of the great formless technique began. The Karma Tao is a Tao derived from the heaven and earth. It is the great formless sacred art, the 10,000 will bright jade art, the 12-character mantra sacred art. Only the great formless sacred art is the ultimate. It uses fearlessness, the great Tao, and the great wisdom to transform into formless. Chapter 12:17. Ning Cheng put down the major non-phase cultivation method in surprise. He had unexpectedly gathered the complete karma cultivation method without even realizing it. After Jiang Man's corporeal body recovered, he would give the complete karma cultivation technique to Jiang Man and his wife. It would definitely be many times more powerful than the 1,000 wheels bright jade. After confirming that the 4 jade strips in his hands were the 4 branches of the karma cultivation method, Ning Cheng began to duplicate the jade strips. Only after starting to copy the karma cultivation method jade strip did Ning Cheng realize how difficult it was. All kinds of Tao charm auras were complex and boundless. If he didn't cultivate the mysterious yellow formless, even if he reached the 3rd step of Tao confirming realm, he might not necessarily be able to carve it. This kind of complex and esoteric jade strip, with Ning Cheng's current strength, he could only carve one every 2 days. 14 days later, Ning Cheng re-engraved the 7 jade strips. 4 of them were the big and small phaseless technique, 10,000 wheels bright jade, and 12 words mantra. The other 2 were the big phaseless technique, and the last one was the small phaseless technique. As for the set of karma cultivation method, Ning Cheng had left it to Jiang Man. Ning Cheng intended to give one of the 2 grand phaseless methods to that old fogey, and keep the other one with him, waiting for Yu to come back to find him. Ning Cheng was sure that with Yu's opportunistic nature, he would definitely come back to him for the great non-phase technique. I can give you the cultivation technique, but I risked my life to obtain it. Naturally, I won't give it to you for free. If you want it, then you can exchange it with something of equal value. Putting away these jade strips, Ning Cheng did not immediately go out. Instead, he began to refine pills and craft artifacts. What Ning Cheng wanted to refine was the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill. This kind of Tao pill was extremely difficult to refine, and it could not even be refined in a plane with incomplete laws. For many Starry Sky cultivators, the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill was very important. This was a Tao pill from the 1st step to the 2nd step. Its value was simply immeasurable. Although there were many primordial chaos sacred emperors in the beyond of heaven and earth, in fact, these primordial chaos sacred emperors had been gathered from various realms. There were more low-level sacred emperors in the beyond of heaven and earth. After refining the pill, Ning Cheng also refined a set of appearance-changing masks. Not only was this mask his appearance, but it also contained a trace of his Dao Rune aura and a trace of his spiritual will. After going into seclusion for more than 10 days, Ningcheng came out and saw the old man sitting in the living room drinking in boredom. Seeing Ningcheng come out, the old man almost jumped up. Ningcheng had gone into seclusion for such a long time, yet he did not show him the grand phaseless technique, which made him feel somewhat tormented. Ningcheng did not wait for the old fogey to speak, as he took out 2 jade strips and handed them to the old fogey and spoke. This is the big and small phaseless method. I have carved 2 of them. I still want to study the small phaseless method's original jade strip. The old man excitedly grabbed the 2 jade slips and said, I don't want that jade slip, I'll give it to Senior. In fact, even if Ningcheng did not carve a minor phaseless cultivation method for him, he would not care about it. Now that he had obtained the greater phaseless technique, how could he be in the mood to care about the lesser phaseless technique? Seeing the old fogey grabbing the jade strip and about to enter his room to cultivate, Ningcheng quickly called out to him, Old fogey, wait a minute. Tomorrow is the day of the auction. I still have something that I need your help with. Only then did the old fogey remember that the auction was tomorrow. He quickly put away the jade strip and spoke with an excited tone. Senior, please instruct me. I will have to change my appearance to participate in the auction tomorrow. As for you, you will have to change your appearance to my appearance and go to VIP booth 8 to represent me in the auction. Ningcheng said as he took out the appearance-changing mask that he had refined and handed it to the old man. The old fogey had naturally heard Shilin's words. However, he had not thought much about it as it had nothing to do with him. Now that Ningcheng had taken out the appearance-changing mask, the old fogey instantly understood what was going on. He secretly admired Ningcheng in his heart. Sure enough, this old fogey had even prepared this. The old fogey was sure that he did not need to bear any danger. Therefore, when he heard Ningcheng's words, he patted his chest without hesitation and said, Senior, rest assured. Leave this matter to me. Okay, as long as you do a good job, I can even give you a drop of the quintessential essence of the universe when you come back. Ningcheng patted the old fogey's shoulder and said. The old fogey was so excited that he could not control himself. The moment he knew that Ningcheng had the quintessential essence of the universe, he had wanted it. However, he had no reason to want it. Now that Ningcheng had taken the initiative to take out a drop of the quintessential essence of the universe, he was sure that he could use this drop of quintessential essence of the universe to restore himself to the early-stage Dao integration realm. Moreover, this drop of quintessential essence of the universe would improve his aptitude by another level. Then, Senior, what do I need to do? The old fogey put this matter aside and began to think about how he could make a contribution. Ningcheng took out a ring and handed it to the old fogey. Feel free to use the things in this ring. No matter what, you have to get the soul-gathering immortal lotus. I won't send you a voice transmission unless it's absolutely necessary. Once it's absolutely necessary, I'll send you a voice transmission. This ring has a trace of my spiritual force. Don't talk too much and don't release your aura. No one will recognize you. I promise to get the soul-gathering immortal lotus. The old fogey's spiritual force scanned the divine spirit meridians, divine crystals, and some treasures in the ring. His eyes almost popped out. There were so many good things. If he could not even get a soul-gathering immortal lotus, he would simply be a noob. Ningcheng had been in seclusion for 20 days, so he naturally did not know how lively heavens beyond of heaven and earth was now. The reason was that the Myriad Realm auction had suddenly released a big move, which was to decide the auction of the store's treasures, the breath soil and the Khanate dragon pearl. Not only that, but it was said that there were also tens of top treasures and peerless materials. There were even soul-gathering immortal lotus and outer realm mist silk. Today was the start of the Myriad Realm auction. The square in front of the Myriad Realm auction was quite big, but at this moment it was still packed with people. Ningcheng and the old fogey came separately. In order to prevent any problems, Ningcheng even let Chasing Bull and Mu Yueping enter the true spirit world. Ningcheng also put the creation divine spear in the true spirit world. When he arrived at the Myriad Realm auction, Ningcheng was dumbfounded. There were so many people here, and there were voices asking for admission tickets everywhere. He did not even need to think about it to know that he would not be able to buy an admission ticket at this time. The old fogey had a jade card for a private room. Not only was it easy for him to enter, but there was also a special woman to lead the way. Seeing a large group of people enter the auction, Ningcheng became anxious. He grabbed a Tao Actualization Divine Emperor who was about to enter and urgently transmitted his voice, "Tao friend, give me your admission ticket and I'll give you a Heaven Essence Heaven pill." The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor, who was about to explode after hearing the first half of Ningcheng's words, shook. He stared at Ningcheng in shock and stuttered, "What did you say?" "Heaven." Ningcheng didn't wait for him to finish and stuffed a jade bottle into his hand. "Look at it yourself." The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor quickly grabbed the jade bottle and didn't dare to open it. His spirit sense seeped in. Luckily, Ningcheng didn't put any restrictions on it. He immediately saw a milky white Tao pill at the bottom of the bottle. This qi was the qi of the Heaven Essence Heaven pill, and it was a top-grade Heaven Essence Heaven pill. Here. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor seemed to be afraid that Ningcheng would change his mind. He stuffed the jade card into Ningcheng's hand and disappeared. Ningcheng breathed a sigh of relief. Exchanging a Heaven Essence Heaven pill for an admission ticket was indeed a big loss. However, in this situation he wouldn't be able to enter at all. The number on the jade card was the bottom floor, Hall C, row 237, seat 105. It could be seen that this seat belonged to the back of the hall. It was an inconspicuous seat. Ningcheng didn't care. He was disguised as a gray-haired old man, Tao Essence Tertiary Stage. This cultivation level wasn't eye-catching at all in the crowd. The Myriad Realm auction was split into 3 levels. Each level had hundreds of thousands of seats. In the middle of the auction was a floating auction stage. There was a teleportation platform on the auction stage. Any item was traded on the spot. If someone was found to have made a false bid, they would be killed on the spot. Above the auction stage, there was also a floating array formation monitoring screen. This array formation monitoring screen would display the highest bid and the previous bids. Ningcheng followed the crowd to the bottom floor, Hall C, row 237, seat 105, and sat down. He immediately put up a restriction. As for who was sitting next to him, Ningcheng didn't care at all. After Ningcheng sat down, he waited for nearly an hour before the entire auction hall quieted down. A powerful spiritual force aura swept over every seat. This was definitely the aura of a perfected Tao integration cultivator. The Myriad Realm auction was very famous in the beyond of heaven and earth. Even without this Tao integration aura, no one would be tired of living and cause trouble there. After the aura disappeared, a pretty and enchanting female cultivator walked onto the auction stage. The deepest impression of this pretty female cultivator was that she was very beautiful. Just by standing there, the faint fragrance of her body seemed to have spread in front of everyone. Ningcheng could tell that this was a Tao rune aura. This female cultivator wasn't just beautiful. Her cultivation level was already at the late-stage primordial chaos realm. She was an absolute expert. Welcome to the auction held by the Myriad Realm auction. I believe that the treasures in this auction won't disappoint you. When the pretty female cultivator spoke, it was as if she was whispering in everyone's ears, calming them down instantly. By now, even those who couldn't see through the woman's cultivation level knew that she was not simple. I'm sure everyone knows the rules of the Myriad Realm auction. To sum it up, don't make false bids. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Not only do we accept divine crystals, but we also accept divine spirit meridians, divine essence pills, Tao fruits, and various treasures. Alright, I won't waste any more of your time. The auction will begin now. The first item to be sold is a high-grade Saint Tao array pattern. The starting price of this array pattern is 10 million divine crystals. Each increment must be no less than 100,000 divine crystals. Let's start the bidding now. Ningcheng's heart shook slightly after hearing the pretty woman's words. He was a top-notch array Tao master who surpassed divine array masters, so he naturally knew what an array pattern was. Could this high-grade Saint Tao array pattern have been set up by a top-notch array Tao Almighty who surpassed divine array masters? Chapter 12:18. Ning Cheng really wanted this high-grade St. Dao array pattern, but thinking that this was the first treasure, once he bid for it, it would immediately attract a lot of attention, which would put him at a disadvantage when bidding for the breath soil. In case the auction house found him suspicious, it might cause more twists and turns in the bidding for the breath soil. On the huge monitoring screen above the auction stage, the highest bid had already risen from 10 million to 90 million, and it was still rising. 110 million. Private room number 10 has bid 110 million. After the number 10 million appeared on the array formations monitoring screen, the rising price stopped abruptly. After a few breaths, the pretty-looking female cultivator hosting the auction began to bid. Ning Cheng felt a little puzzled. The price of this St. Dao array pattern was definitely more than 110 million. Ning Cheng wouldn't feel surprised even if it sold for 300 million. Ning Cheng didn't expect that no one would bid after 110 million. Was it because they feared Booth 10? Or were there very few people interested in the Dao of arrays nowadays? 110 million going once. 110 million going twice. 110 million going once. Deal. Congratulations to the Dao friend in booth 10 for getting off to a good start and obtaining this precious St. Dao array disc. With the pretty-looking female cultivator's hammer, the auction of the first item came to an end. The transmission platform on the auction stage quickly completed the transaction. From beginning to end, Ning Cheng didn't even see what this St. Dao array pattern was. The second item we want to auction is a semi-top grade spirit artifact, Sky Connecting Hammer. This time, the pretty-looking woman directly took out a jade plate and placed it on the void supporting array in front of her. On the jade plate was a purple octagonal sledgehammer. The sledgehammer exuded a strong murderous aura from top to bottom, which made people understand that this weapon wasn't simple at first glance. The starting price of the Sky Connecting Hammer is also 10 million spirit crystals, and each bid increment must be no less than 100,000. No matter how the pretty-looking female cultivator on the stage boasted, Ning Cheng had no interest in it. This semi-top grade spirit artifact, as long as he had top-grade materials, he could craft it. For him, this Sky Connecting Hammer didn't attract him at all. The Sky Connecting Hammer might be useless to Ning Cheng, but for others, it was a treasure that they could only dream of. This treasure was much more attractive than the St. Dao array pattern. For a while, the bits on the array formation monitoring screen refreshed at the fastest speed possible. The Supreme Sky Hammer was quickly slapped out, followed by a series of Dharma treasures and Dao fruits. Although there were a few that attracted Ning Cheng's attention, Ning Cheng still refrained from bidding. The old man only had one task, and that was to bid for the soul-gathering immortal lotus. Before Ning Cheng spoke, even if he wanted something, he wouldn't dare to bid for it. This was a major event for Ning Cheng. Even if he had more courage, he would not dare to make a decision on his own. The next item to be auctioned is the Sky Martial Void-Breaking Fruit. Even though this Dao fruit isn't very useful to many cultivators, it is one of the most precious Dao fruits for martial cultivators. If martial Dao Kuden Cheng and Kud Dao, the Dao Kuden disc, couldn't help but to think. Pill Dao related, refining Dao related, the heaven martial Dao Cheng's Dao was. Of Dao Dao related pill, the Dao of the Dao. Of Dao 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 related of Chen of Dao Dao. And he had the Dao the sect. The heaven martial void breaking fruit was one of the best Dao fruits for martial Dao cultivators. Regardless of whether one could perfect one's Dao, the value of the heaven martial void breaking fruit was immeasurable. Moreover, after Ning Cheng saw the universe flora, he knew that the heaven martial void breaking fruit was also useful to Dao cultivators. Moreover, it wasn't just one or two benefits. He had to get his hands on this Dao fruit, but he couldn't bid for it himself. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng didn't hesitate to send a sound transmission to the old man to bid for the heaven martial void breaking fruit. The soul-gathering immortal lotus hadn't come out yet, which made the old man sleepy. Now that he suddenly received Ning Cheng's message, he immediately sat up straight. Ning Cheng didn't want to alarm the auction house's powerhouse, so after sending a spiritual sense message to the old man, he immediately isolated his spiritual sense aura. Many people knew about the value of the heaven martial void breaking fruit. Although this Dao fruit didn't have any direct use for most people, Everyone knew that as long as they had this Dao fruit, they could exchange it for many unimaginable treasures. The pretty-looking female cultivator presiding over the auction raised her hand to calm down the slightly noisy auction hall, and said in a crisp voice, "The base price of the Heaven Martial Void-Breaking Fruit is 100 million high-grade spirit crystals. Each bid must be at least 1 million high-grade spirit crystals. Let the bidding begin." Although the Heaven Martial Void-Breaking Fruit was precious, its price was equally terrifying. Even with such a high price, as soon as the initial price came out, the bidding on the array formations monitoring screen kept flashing. In just a few breaths, the price exceeded 200 million. But soon, the price stopped at 500 million high-grade spirit crystals. It looks like the price didn't stop here, but because the person who bid 500 million was too outrageous, increasing the price by 300 million in one go. This price made many of the latest bids unable to be displayed. As such, it would naturally take some time to change the price again. The pretty-looking female cultivator on the auction stage said with a smile, "Booth 8 bids 500 million. Is there any higher bid than 500 million high-grade spirit crystals? If there is no higher bid, then this Heaven Martial Void-Breaking Fruit belongs to Booth 8. Ningqing secretly gave a thumbs up. This old fart was truly cunning. Even after living for countless years, this bid was much stronger than the average person. 500 million definitely couldn't buy the Heaven Martial Void-Breaking Fruit, but this bid would make others feel a bit of fear towards Booth 8. That was more than enough. Of course, one had to have enough money in their pockets to do such a thing. 500 million high-grade spirit crystals going once. The pretty-looking female cultivator had just called out a price when she saw a new bid appear on the monitoring screen. 510 million high-grade spirit crystals. The price of the Heaven Martial Void-Breaking Fruit has already reached 510 million high-grade spirit crystals. This is the price quoted by Booth 10. Is there any higher price than this? Although the pretty-looking female cultivator was still talking on the stage, Ningqing could hear that her voice no longer had the excitement from before. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness swept out. Sure enough, a few holy emperors who hadn't put up any restrictions and were still hesitating immediately stopped hesitating after seeing the bid from Booth 10. Ningqing's gaze then fell on Booth 10. At this time, he felt almost certain that something was wrong with Booth 10. Most likely, the person inside made people feel afraid, which was why no one dared to bid. Moreover, Booth 10 also knew about this and increased the price by 1 million spirit crystals. Apparently, this fellow was a person who didn't care about the auction at all. 510 million spirit crystals going once, 510 million spirit crystals going twice. The pretty-looking female cultivator presiding over the auction even removed the time interval between the calls. She seemed certain that Booth 10 would buy the Heaven Martial Void-Breaking Fruit for 510 million high-grade spirit crystals. 510 million. The female cultivator presiding over the auction hadn't even called out for the third time, when she was surprised to find that the price on the monitoring screen had jumped again. She quickly stopped calling out. At this time, not to mention the female cultivator presiding over the auction, even the entire auction hall felt a bit strange. Who was this person, and why was he so bold? To actually compete with Booth 10, was this person tired of living? Not only did he bid, but he also increased the price to 1 billion spirit crystals. This time, everyone could clearly see that it was Booth 8 who increased the price to 1 billion spirit crystals. Bang! To Ningqing's surprise, the door of Booth 10 was opened. A young and handsome man stood at the door of the booth and shouted in displeasure. "Who's in Booth 8? How dare he bid with me? Come out!" Usually, everyone only heard that the person in Booth 10 of the Myriad Realm auction should not be provoked. Almost no one in heavens beyond of heaven and earth did not know about this. As for who was in Booth 10, only a very small number of people knew about it. Now everyone finally saw the person in Booth 10. It turned out to be a young man who had yet to attain Dao modeling. "Daoist Yi, this is the auction venue of the Myriad Realm auction. Please return to your booth. If Daoist Yi insists on going against the Myriad Realm auction, even if your father comes, the Myriad Realm auction will still be in the right." A stern voice came. Although this voice was not suppressed by Dao runes, the surging aura made people feel an indescribable stuffiness in their hearts. I'm sorry. I apologize on behalf of my brother for what happened just now. It was our fault. Another young man came out. After apologizing, he pulled the arrogant young man into the booth. The booth's restriction was activated again. After this farce, no one continued to increase the price. The arrogant young man in booth 10 also did not continue to increase the price. In the end, the old man bought the Sky Martial Void-Breaking Fruit with 1 billion high-grade divine crystals without any fuss. Some of the people who knew how powerful room number 10 was turned their sympathetic gazes towards the people outside room number 8. All cultivators in heaven and earths beyond knew that booth 8 had always been a guest booth. This private room wasn't for a single person. Instead, it was for guests or outsiders who offered a terrifying amount of money to enter. Now that the person in booth 8 was going against the person in booth 10, it was obvious that he was an outsider who did not know how powerful the force behind booth 10 was. Otherwise, he would not have dared to go against booth 10 so openly. The woman hosting the auction on the auction stage also looked at booth 8 in surprise. As the host of the auction, she naturally knew about it. She also knew that the background of the person in booth 8 was very shocking. It was said that the Mao family had suffered a setback. Nobody knew what the outcome of the fight between the person in booth 8 and the person in booth 10 would be. In any case, it had nothing to do with the Myriad Realm auction. The female cultivator hosting the auction soon put these thoughts aside. She took out a jade box again and placed it on the void array supporting jade plate. Then she said crisply, "The next item for auction is also a top-notch treasure. Its value is definitely not lower than the Sky Martial Void-Breaking Fruit. It might even be more valuable than the Sky Martial Void-Breaking Fruit." Sure enough, a single sentence from him had attracted the attention of the entire auction house. What kind of treasure was more precious than the Sky Martial Void-Breaking Fruit? Since she had taken out a jade box, it seemed like it was not a Dao fruit but some materials. Chapter 12:19. This is a perfect body sculpting treasure. In this part of the void, I'm afraid there is nothing more powerful than this body sculpting treasure. Even the Nirvana nest might not be much stronger than this body sculpting treasure. The pretty-looking female cultivator hadn't even finished her words when the people in the auction hall started to talk about it. I know, this time's item must be the soul-gathering immortal lotus. Do you still need to say it? Everyone knows that it's the soul-gathering immortal lotus. Ningqing also felt excited. The soul-gathering immortal lotus was something he had to obtain. It was the best treasure for Jiang Man's body sculpting. He absolutely could not miss it. Sure enough, the pretty-looking female cultivator who hosted the auction smiled sweetly. I know that most of you already know what treasure you're about to bid on. That's right, it's the top-grade body sculpting treasure, the soul-gathering immortal lotus. I don't need to elaborate on the value of the soul-gathering immortal lotus. It's one of the few treasures that not only doesn't affect one's aptitude during body sculpting, it can even improve one's aptitude. For holy emperors who want to sculpt their avatars, the soul-gathering immortal lotus is the best choice. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness kept a close watch on the outside. Although most people, like him, had put on restrictions, he could still feel the excitement in the air. From this, it showed that there were definitely a lot of people who wanted the soul-gathering immortal lotus. Old fart, I'm counting on you this time. The base price of the soul-gathering immortal lotus is 100 million high-grade spirit crystals. Each increment must be no less than 1 million high-grade spirit crystals. Start bidding now. As the pretty-looking female cultivator's voice fell, the price on the monitor screen didn't stop flashing. 150 million. 170 million. Almost in the blink of an eye, the price of the soul-gathering immortal lotus rose to 360 million. No one increased the price by 1 million, and the lowest increment was at least 10 million. The old fart didn't rush to bid. Instead, he rubbed his hands. He knew that this auction was his main purpose for participating in this auction. 610 million. The surroundings instantly quieted down. Everyone knew that the owner of booth 10 had started bidding again. 1 billion spirit crystals. Others didn't dare to bid against booth 10, but the old fart didn't have any scruples. With Senior Ningcheng supporting him, even Heaven's Master Feng Huangmei would have to give Senior Ningcheng some face. I, Ping Cauldron Heavenly Emperor, neither steal nor rob, so why wouldn't I dare to bid against you? It was booth number 8 again, and it was competing with booth number 10 again. This time, those who wanted the soul-gathering Immortal Lotus could only give up. Not to mention the fact that room number 10 had already made a bid. Who would be stupid enough to compete with room number 10? Moreover, it was obvious that the person in booth number 8 was a wealthy person. Competing with such a person was either a fool who had nothing better to do, or had too many divine crystals. No one who could take out 1 billion divine crystals to purchase the soul-gathering Immortal Lotus was an ordinary person. Pa! The youth in room 10 slammed his palm on the table and said in a stern voice, "This person is clearly trying to make my Yi clan lose face. Even if I have to kill this person afterwards, I won't let him have an easy time at the auction. Brother, you mustn't go out and do anything. Before father left, he told us not to cause any trouble." The young man hurriedly advised. A man sitting beside them also said in a deep voice, "Beiwang is right. There are many experts in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth, and they usually don't come out. It's better for us not to provoke them." The young man snorted coldly. "Provoke others? Uncle Luo, you saw it too. It's clear that he's provoking me now. The Yi clan doesn't like to cause trouble, and we're not afraid of it. Father won't say anything even if he comes back. If anyone can bully us, we can forget about living in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth in the future." The man who was addressed as Uncle Luo frowned slightly upon hearing this. The bidding at the auction naturally depended on one's ability. What did this have to do with provoking others? It seemed like Huang Ping had not learned the principles of the sect master, and his father after his father had sent him to the immortal world for training all these years. The sect master and brother Bao had left the heavens beyond of heaven and earth for about 10 years, and Huang Ping's nature had been completely exposed. Nobody had cared about him in the past, but now that he had met someone who did not give way to him, he immediately became like a pot of boiling oil. In contrast, Beiwang seemed much more mature. "Beiwang, bid me 1.5 billion divine crystals," the young man said with a snort when he saw that Uncle Luo did not speak again. "Brother, the person in booth number 8 is definitely a wealthy person. I think we should give this soul-gathering Immortal Lotus to them. Don't forget our main purpose here. We're here to buy the breathing soil and the Khanate Dragon Ball." The young man sitting opposite him said with a slight frown instead of bidding. The young man glared at the young man and pulled him aside before he sat down. The pretty female cultivator who hosted the auction smiled. "Booth number 8 has bid 1 billion high-grade divine crystals. 1 billion high-grade divine crystals going once. If there's no higher bid than 1 billion high-grade divine crystals, this soul-gathering Immortal Lotus will belong to booth number 8. 1 billion high-grade divine crystals going twice." The bidding price on the monitoring screen on the auction stage suddenly jumped again. 1 billion high-grade divine crystals. The female cultivator who hosted the auction was all smiles. She had been afraid that no one would bid against booth number 10. It would be best if someone bid against it. As expected, the 1 billion divine crystals had just jumped before it was replaced by a higher bid. Booth number 8 has renewed its bid again. 1.5 billion divine crystals. It's an increase of 400 million divine crystals this time. This is a big move. I wonder if booth number 10 will take back the right to speak. At this time, the female cultivator who hosted the auction spoke with a hint of provocation. Booth number 10 only increased its bid by 100 million, but booth number 8 increased its bid by 400 million. "Brother, the auctioneer is doing this on purpose. Don't increase the bid anymore." The young man saw the young man's angry expression and hurriedly stopped him. The young man revealed a disdainful sneer. "So what if I'm provoking? Do you think I'm afraid of a lone ghost?" As he spoke, he drew another bid. The bidding price on the screen jumped to 2 billion divine crystals. It could be said that this price had already exceeded the original price of the soul-gathering Immortal Lotus. The entire auction hall was excited to watch this good show. Everyone knew that booth number 10 was amazing, But they didn't know how amazing it was. Now that booth number 8 and booth number 10 were fighting, they could just watch the show. In a corner of the auction hall, a woman with a veil on her face stared coldly at booth number 10 with a hint of disdain at the corner of her mouth. "Sister, our plan has finally succeeded." Next to the woman with a veil on her face, another woman with a veil on her face said excitedly through a voice transmission. "Don't send a voice transmission. The person in booth number 8 is very strong. I was almost killed by him. We still don't know if it will succeed." The cultivation level of the woman who was addressed as sister was far stronger than her younger sister, so she was worried that there would be a problem with her younger sister's voice transmission. It was her sister who had secretly spread the news that booth number 10 was very strong and should not be provoked. After decades of accumulation, coupled with the fact that some insiders really knew that booth number 10 was very strong, the entire heavens beyond of heaven and earth knew about it. Indeed, because everyone knew that booth number 10 was very strong, very few people would compete for booth number 10 at every auction. After a long time, booth number 10 had developed an arrogant and domineering temperament. In the past, booth number 10 had always been attended by a few women. Even if they were occasionally intercepted, they did not do anything. Therefore, nothing major had happened. In the past decade, a young man had suddenly appeared in booth number 10. 6 years ago, someone had intercepted his bid and he had made a big fuss. Since then, no one had intercepted anything from booth number 10. This time, someone had intercepted his bid again. Moreover, it was an expert whom she was very wary of. She had seen this expert in the heavens beyond rest in. He had almost killed her, but he had strangely let her go easily in the end. As long as this expert fought with the person in booth number 10, even if he killed the person who came out of booth number 10, there would be a glimmer of hope for her Liu family's revenge. Booth number 10 has increased the bid by 500 million divine crystals. The price of the soul-gathering immortal lotus has already reached 2 billion high-grade divine crystals. I wonder if booth number 8. Before the female cultivator hosting the auction could finish her words, the price on the bidding monitor screen had refreshed to 3 billion divine crystals. The old fart, who had reported 3 billion divine crystals without any pressure, laughed in his heart. "Competing with me for divine crystals? Senior Ning gave me more than 10 billion divine crystals, and a pile of materials. Could it be just for show? Just how rich did he have to be so capricious?" The cultivators at the auction were completely speechless as they watched the bidding war between the two booths. Both of them were rich people, so this was not a game they could play. When the young man in booth number 10 saw booth number 8 increase the bid by 1 billion divine crystals, he was so angry that he almost wanted to rush to booth number 8 and teach that bastard who was bidding against him a lesson. After so many years in the immortal world, he Yi Huangping had been warmly welcomed and greeted wherever he went. Even in the mystic realm, no one had dared to disrespect him. Even in the sacred Tao world, no one had dared to disrespect him. Regardless of how big the sect master was, if they knew that he was there, they would have to open their sect to welcome him. In the beginning, his aunt had been in charge of him. After his aunt left, he had become even more carefree. Even his Tao followed his heart and never compromised or wronged himself. Now a puny itinerant cultivator dared to embarrass him like this? He even wanted him to compromise? When he saw that the young man was going to bid again, he stopped him. "Brother, you can't bid anymore. If I have the breath soil and the Khanate dragon clan, I don't care what you bid. I haven't gotten them yet, and you know how important these two things are." The young man took a deep breath and finally calmed down. He knew that he was right. He had not come here for the soul-gathering immortal lotus. He glanced coldly at the outside of room 8 and retracted his murderous intent. No matter how powerful the backer of booth number 8 was, he would not let him go after this auction ended. 3 billion divine crystals going once, 3 billion divine crystals going twice, 3 billion divine crystals going thrice. Congratulations to the Taoist in booth number 8 for obtaining the soul-gathering immortal lotus again. The female cultivator hosting the auction did not dare to continue provoking them, so the interval between the calls was extremely short. If she continued to provoke them to this extent and offended the owner of booth number 10, she probably wouldn't be able to afford it. If an ordinary person had bid for the soul-gathering immortal lotus, it would have been fine. However, this old fogey had been with Chasing Bull for a long time, which had caused his mouth to turn nasty. After obtaining the soul-gathering immortal lotus, he still called out in disdain, "You want to compete with me for the soul-gathering immortal lotus, with just these few divine crystals? The younger generation will surpass the older, hee. Chapter 12:20. There was no movement from VIP Booth 10, but everyone knew that VIP Booth 8 was definitely courting death. This was simply adding fuel to the fire. After saying this, even Uncle Luo in VIP Booth 10 snorted coldly with a hint of anger on his face. A sharp killing intent rushed out of the booth and blasted directly at VIP Booth 8. It was clearly a Dao Rune killing intent, but it was like a surging Yangtze River. What fell was a powerful sword intent aura. The old fogey sneered. A mere mid-stage primordial chaos cultivator dared to be arrogant in front of him. An illusory cauldron shadow rushed out of the top of the booth. Its majestic aura was like a huge pocket, ready to take away all the sword intent that filled the sky. Ningqing shook his head speechlessly. Did this old fogey have to be quiet? This was a critical moment, not a time for him to pick a fight with others. He still hadn't obtained the breathing soil. However, Ningqing soon stopped thinking about it. The old fogey had come from ancient times and naturally had his own pride. He might have addressed him as a senior because he thought that Ningqing was more ancient than him. If the old fogey knew that Ningqing was not the reincarnation of an almighty, he would not have been so submissive even if Ningqing's strength completely crushed the old fogey. It was impossible for such a proud fellow to not fight back when someone took the initiative to attack him. Even his last sentence was because the young man in VIP Booth 10 had arrogantly pointed at him and asked him to come out. This fellow cultivated the Karma Dao, so he did not forget such trivial things. Bang! A dull sound was heard. The long sword-like sword intent and the cauldron shadow did not collide. Instead, they were directly grabbed by a big hand and dissipated without a trace. Everyone in the auction venue was horrified. This was definitely the attack of a perfected Dao integration expert. Sure enough, in the next moment, a stern voice was heard. If the people in Booth 8 and Booth 10 still dare to ignore the rules of my Infinite Realm auction and start a fight here, then they will be the enemies of my Infinite Realm auction. You are never welcome to enter the Infinite Realm auction in the future. Hearing this, Uncle Luo, who was in room number 10, calmed down. Naturally, he would not attack again. Instead, he said in a deep voice, "Huang Ping, I will tell your father about what happened today." This matter was completely instigated by Yi Huangping. If it wasn't for Yi Huangping arrogantly pointing at room 8 and telling them to get out calmly, there probably wouldn't have been a fight just now. There was one more thing that he didn't mention. Not only did the Infinite Realm auction not punish room 10, but it also didn't punish room 8. It could be seen that the origin of room number 8 was not simple. The sect master had a lot of things to do now. He had stayed in the beyond of heaven and earth to stabilize his position in the sacred Dao world, not to cause trouble. Fortunately, he had come along because of the matter regarding the living soil. If he hadn't come along with Yi Huangping's arrogant and conceited personality, it was very likely that something big would have happened. The auction venue was in an uproar. No one thought that someone would dare to make a move in the Myriad World auction. More people were in awe of the Myriad World auction. The Myriad World auction's palm seal had directly melted the two experts' attacks. However, some of the more knowledgeable people could see it even more clearly. Room 8 was the same as Room 10. Both of them had extraordinary origins. If an ordinary person had dared to cause trouble in the Myriad World auction, he would have been killed by the Myriad World auction long ago. In fact, when the people in the two private rooms caused trouble, the Infinite Realm auction house only reprimanded them a few times and let it go. On the top floor of the Myriad World auction, Shilin and an old man were sitting opposite each other. There was silence between the two of them, as though something had happened. After a long while, the old man said, "I'm sure that although the Dao Rune strength of the Cauldron Shadow is far beyond that of an ordinary early-stage primordial chaos expert, it is far from being able to smash Mao Tai's arm with one punch." Just now he had blocked the attack of the Sword River and the Cauldron Shadow, so he was very clear about this. Shilin was silent for a while before saying, "Brother Hu Ningcheng's strength is unquestionable. Otherwise, Feng Huangmei would not have dared to make a move, and the Mao family would not have compromised with him. I reckon that even I might not be a match for him. This person is very strange and possesses the Seven Bridges divine ability. As for the Cauldron Shadow just now, I suspect that he deliberately concealed his strength, or did it to give face to our auction." The old man frowned but could only agree with Shilin. Fortunately, the female cultivator hosting the auction also knew that sparks were flying between the two rooms. Thus, she hurriedly patted the wooden block. "Next, we will be bidding on a section of the Outer Realm Fog Silk. Some people might not know about the Outer Realm Fog Silk. Let me explain. The Outer Realm Fog Silk generally grows in places outside the realm where there are no heaven-earth laws, and it is always moving. Therefore, this kind of treasure is very difficult to obtain. However, the function of the Outer Realm Fog Silk is something that everyone yearns for. This is a treasure that can allow a second-step Dao integration Sacred Emperor to gain insight into the third-step creation realm." Sure enough, before the female auctioneer finished speaking, the entire auction venue was filled with a roar. A third-step creation realm expert was simply an unattainable existence. They had not expected that such a treasure would be sold at this auction. This was an eye-opener. However, the sacred emperors who knew the true function of the Outer Realm Fog Silk remained calm. He did not believe that the Outer Realm Fog Silk could allow a Dao integration sacred emperor to gain insight into the third-step creation realm. If it really had such a terrifying effect, why would the Myriad Realm Auction House take it out for auction? Therefore, the third-step creation realm Fog Silk was definitely a cover. The beautiful female cultivator smiled and waited for everyone to quiet down before continuing. Of course, obtaining the Outer Realm Fog Silk does not mean that you can reach the third-step Dao validation realm. The Outer Realm Fog Silk only gives you an opportunity, and this opportunity is less than 10%. This also involves your aptitude, understanding of the Great Dao and Heaven-Earth laws, as well as the Dao runes of the Great Dao produced after using the Outer Realm Fog Silk. Alright, I won't say any more. After all, the Outer Realm Fog Silk is too precious. Even my auction house cannot afford to use it. The starting price of the Outer Realm Fog Silk is 500 million high-grade divine crystals. Each increment must be no less than 10 million divine crystals. The bidding begins now. Even though the price was high, the price on the bidding monitor screen still refreshed extremely quickly. In a short time, the price had risen to 1 billion. This time, booth number 8 and booth number 10 did not make a move. The bid of 1 billion was from an ordinary booth, and the price had also slowed down by this time. Should we make a move? A middle-aged man in booth number 5 asked. If this booth opened, Ningqing would have recognized the few people inside. They were all from the Mao clan, including the Mao clan's patriarch, Mao Wuxia. The Mao clan originally wanted to bid for the soul-gathering immortal lotus for Mao Kai, but the soul-gathering immortal lotus was being fought over by booth number 8 and booth number 10. The Mao clan could not afford to offend these two booths. Therefore, they could only keep their mouths shut and not bid. Mao Wuxiao pondered for a moment before saying, "The Outer Realm Fog Silk does not live up to its name, but having a chance is better than not having a chance. Now that Ning Cheng and the person behind him have fallen out, it is a great thing for my Mao clan. My Mao clan has already lost 100 billion divine crystals, so why would we care about a few billion divine crystals? Let's directly bid 1.5 billion divine crystals. If it works, let Zhenyu try. If he still can't get it, then forget it." At that moment, the price had soared to 1.3 billion divine crystals. Booth number 4 directly quoted the price of the Outer Realm Fog Silk as 1.5 billion divine crystals. As soon as 1.5 billion divine crystals were quoted, the price stopped immediately. Not only was the price a little high, but it was also the price quoted by booth number 4. Cultivators in heavens beyond of heaven and earth knew that the first 10 booths of the Myriad Realm auction were occupied by experts. If they wanted to compete, they would have to see if it was worth it. 1.5 billion divine crystals going once. 1.5 5 billion divine crystals going twice. 1. 5 billion divine crystals going thrice. Congratulations to booth number 4 for winning the Outer Realm Fog Silk at the price of 5 billion divine crystals. Although the pretty female cultivator presiding over the auction congratulated them, she felt a little depressed. She had hoped to get billions of divine crystals for the Outer Realm Fog Silk, but in the end, it had only been 5 billion divine crystals, which was far inferior to the soul-gathering Immortal Lotus. The transaction ended quickly without any twists and turns. The female cultivator presiding over the auction took out a wooden box and placed it on the void jade plate. Before the female cultivator presiding over the auction could speak, Ning Cheng's eyes narrowed. The wooden box was wrapped in a restriction, but he still had a hunch that the item in the wooden box was the growing soil. He had not expected that the Myriad Realm auction would auction the soul-gathering Immortal Lotus and the growing soil one after another. It seemed like this was also a way to express their gratitude to him, just like the 50 million divine crystals. Whether it was the other party's apology or friendship, it was not important to Ning Cheng now. Now he had to go all out and get this piece of growing soil. Chapter 12:21. The auction venue, which was still in an uproar over the outer world mist silk, instantly turned silent after the jade box was placed on the jade plate. Many people realized that this item was not ordinary. The pretty female cultivator hosting the auction smiled and said calmly, "This auction item is not simple. It used to be one of my Myriad World Auction's 9 greatest treasures, breath soil." As soon as the 2 words breath soil came out, the auction venue immediately went into an uproar. Even if the soul-gathering Immortal Lotus had its limitations, and the true effects of the outer world mist silk were still uncertain, then breath soil was a true treasure. It was a great opportunity for anyone to obtain the breathing soil. Breath soil was the head of the primal chaos 5 soils. In fact, most people had only heard of breath soil and had never heard of the other 4 soils. As long as you had breath soil, no matter what kind of spiritual grass or treasure you cultivated, you would never fail. Breath soil condensed the essence of heaven and earth. Not only could it be used to cultivate spiritual grasses and treasures, but it also contained the mysteries of heaven and earth and endless Tao charm laws. Having the soil of breath meant that you were standing at a higher place than others. One could even say that breath soil was the true treasure of heaven and earth. The auction venue quickly quietened down, and everyone stared at the breath soil on the jade plate. Most people knew that they were not qualified to bid for the growing soil. Even so, they wanted to know which of the first 10 boxes would win the growing soil. I don't have to say anything about the preciousness of breath soil, but I believe everyone knows about it. The starting price of this breath soil is 1 billion high-grade spirit crystals, and each increase must be no less than 100 million. We accept all kinds of bartering. The female cultivator hosting the auction had just finished speaking when the price on the monitoring screen rose sharply. In just a short time, it rose to 3 billion. The price of breath soil was definitely more than 3 billion spirit crystals. However, when the price reached 3 billion spirit crystals, not many people could afford it. This price was just too high. 4 billion high-grade spirit crystals. After a pause, the price on the monitoring screen refreshed again. Everyone could clearly see that this was the bid from Booth 8. Booth 8 was definitely a rich person. From his bid, one could tell that most people were increasing the bid by 100 million. However, Booth 8 immediately increased the bid by 1 billion, showing just how rich he was. When the bid of 4 billion high-grade spirit crystals came out, the venue once again turned silent. Everyone knew that this was not the end. The bidding war for the breath soil had just begun. The breath soil was definitely worth more than 4 billion divinity crystals, but no one knew who would be competing with Booth 8. In room 10, the young man looked at the bidding screen and said, "Brother, we can make our move now." The young man who was addressed as brother had an ugly expression on his face. He even gritted his teeth and said, "It's this number 8 again. This guy is simply too arrogant. Huangping, don't use divine crystals. Just use divine essence elixirs." Uncle Luo's face was also very serious. The breath soil was very important to them, and they could not afford to lose it. The youth called Huang Ping took a deep breath, clenched his fists and said, "Uncle Luo, don't worry. I will definitely not let this person succeed. I will let him see how strong our Yi clan is." After saying that, he directly engraved 70 million divine essence pills on the bidding Dharma artifact. The price has been refreshed. This time, it's 70 million divine essence pills. That's 7 billion divine crystals, someone exclaimed. It's booth number 10. It's going to be interesting this time. There were many discussions in the auction hall. By this time, some cultivators who couldn't bid for the breath soil had already come to watch the show. This kind of exciting competition was even more exciting than the auction itself. Ningqing frowned slightly. This wasn't a good thing for him. Ningqing also knew about divine essence pills. Few people would take them out for trading. Divine essence pills were purified from spirit veins, just like the permanent essence pills in the starry sky. Divine essence pills were better than high-grade divine crystals in that they were easier to absorb. Because they weren't refined using medicinal herbs, they didn't contain pill toxins. More importantly, divine essence pills contained a trace of law aura, which would help cultivators gain enlightenment. A divine essence pill was equivalent to 100 high-grade divine crystals. Since booth number 10 bid 70 million divine essence pills, it was 7 billion high-grade divine crystals. Even the old fogey found it a bit difficult. He only had about 10 billion divine crystals on him. This booth number 10 didn't have an ordinary background. He even bid 70 million divine essence pills in one go. 70 million divine essence pills made even Ningqing envious. The pretty female cultivator hosting the auction showed a smile and spoke slowly. Booth number 10 bid 70 million divine essence pills, which is equivalent to 7 billion spirit crystals. Is there any higher price than this? As soon as he said that, the price on the bidding screen refreshed again. The price was 8 billion divine crystals, and 10 supreme-grade divine spiritual veins. Top-grade spirit veins were different from high-grade divine crystals. Few people used them for cultivation. Most people used them to decorate caves, because a complete top-grade spirit vein would have a complete law aura. It was a waste to use it for cultivation alone. Even if one wanted to use a top-grade spirit vein for cultivation, one would have to first arrange a spiritual gathering grand array. To everyone's surprise, this bid didn't come from booth number 8, but from an ordinary booth. Booth number 133 on the second floor. The pretty female cultivator hosting the auction didn't seem surprised by this and called out again. Booth 133 on the second floor bids 8 billion spirit crystals and 10 top-grade spirit veins. The price has been refreshed once again. Is there any higher bid than this? The old fogey knew that his bid was just to help Ningqing divert his attention. He didn't expect that there would be someone else besides booth number 10, who desired the breath soil so much. Ningqing hadn't made a move yet, which made the old fogey hesitant to continue increasing the price. He didn't worry about increasing the price to the point where he couldn't afford it. He felt sure that as long as he increased the price to the point where he couldn't afford it, Ningqing would take it over. While the old fogey struggled, the youth in booth number 10 grew even angrier. It seemed that he was right. If there was one, there would be two. After booth number 8 competed with booth number 10, even an ordinary booth dared to compete with booth number 10. 150 million divine essence pills, 20 supreme-grade divine spiritual meridians, and 2 glazed light fruits. The young man reported almost everything he could take out. The youth next to him frowned slightly and said, "Brother, if you bid like this, what are we going to use to compete for the innate Dragon Ball?" The youth froze for a moment before coming to his senses. They came here today not only to bid for the breath soil, but also the innate Dragon Ball. Without waiting for the youth to speak, Uncle Luo shook his head and said, "Beiwang, there's no hope for the innate Dragon Ball. Looking at today's trend, even if Huang Ping's bid just now, we might not be able to win the breath soil. The competition for the breath soil has far exceeded our previous expectations." As soon as this bid was made, the auction hall was completely stirred up. The 2 glazed light fruits alone were enough to make countless people jealous, let alone the 150 million spirit essence pills and the 20 top-grade spirit veins. The glazed light fruit was a pure Tao law fruit that could allow one to comprehend all kinds of laws in the universe, including the time law and space law. Ordinary Tao modeling divine emperors had a preliminary understanding of the time law and space law, and could even use it to fuse with their divine abilities. However, it was very difficult to truly control the time law or space law, or take a deeper step to comprehend these things. Once one's understanding of the Tao law was insufficient, they would need to find other opportunities. The glazed light fruit was such a pure Tao law fruit. More people looked at booth number 8. Since booth number 10's bid was so terrifying, they wondered what earth-shattering price booth number 8 would offer in order to compete for the breath soil. Moreover, it was not the first time booth number 8 and booth number 10 were competing, so this competition was even more interesting. Even Shi Lin, and the other Tao integration stage cultivator in the top floor private room, were looking toward private room number 8. The Infinite Realm auction did not take out the breath soil to exchange for some divine essence pills and the 2 glazed light fruits. It was for the black-yellow chi with the aura of the origin, chaotic chi, and even the essence of the universe. If it was not to expand the Infinite Realm auction's influence, and to divert the source of the essence of the universe, the Infinite Realm auction would not have taken out the breath soil to auction. Of course, there was another reason. The Infinite Realm auction wanted to see if something more precious than the essence of the universe would appear in the auction. However, nothing more precious than the quintessential essence of the universe or the 5-element chaos chi had appeared during the auction of the growing soil. If it was purely for divine crystals, the Infinite Realm auction would not take out the breath soil, no matter how many divine crystals there were. Shi Lin was not in a hurry, as he could see that Ning Cheng really wanted the breath soil. He believed that after the bid from booth number 10 came out, booth number 8 would go all out. The pretty female cultivator hosting the auction said with a smile, "Booth number 10 is really generous. Not only did he take out 150 million divine essence pills, but he also took out 20 supreme-grade divine spirit meridians, and even took out 2 glazed light fruits. I wonder if there will be a higher bid? If there is no higher bid, then this breath soil will belong to booth number 10. The pretty female cultivator was not disappointed. After she finished speaking, the price on the bidding monitoring screen refreshed immediately. A new bid appeared on the bidding screen. 30 billion high-grade divine crystals, 30 supreme-grade divine spirit meridians, and a bottle of Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill refined from the Heaven Essence fruit. The Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill also states that it can allow a first-step Tao validation Sacred Emperor to directly comprehend the second-step Tao validation. The bid itself was terrifying enough. What was even more shocking was that the bid did not come from a booth, but from an ordinary seat at the bottom of the auction hall. Hall 3, row 237, seat 105. If it were not for the bidding screen clearly showing the location of this seat, no one would have known where it was. After Ning Cheng made the bid, he felt a little unhappy. He knew that the Infinite Realm auction had done this on purpose. Otherwise, no one would have known which seat had made the bid. Chapter 1222. Can the Heaven Essence fruit be used for alchemy? Yeah, I've heard of the Heavenly Heaven pill. But isn't the Heavenly Heaven fruit unable to be added into the pill? Who said that the Heaven Essence fruit can't be added into the elixir? It was only because the conditions to enter the pill were more stringent. Because the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill contains the second-step Heaven-Earth law, it must be refined in a realm with complete laws. When Ning Cheng's offer came out, in addition to shock, there were even more discussions. No matter what kind of discussion it was, it did not affect the fact that Ning Cheng's offer far exceeded the offer from booth 10. Hall C, ground floor, row 237, number 105 offers 30 billion high-grade God crystals, 30 peak-grade God spiritual veins, and a bottle of Heavenly Pill. Is there a higher offer than this? If there is no higher bid, then the growing soil treasure will be taken by this fellow Taoist. Although the pretty-looking female cultivator presiding over the auction still called out the price in a crisp voice, her voice no longer had the same joy as before. In fact, it even felt as if she was deliberately stalling for time. No matter how long she dragged it out, no one would bid for it within the allotted time. and she would still have to announce her bid. 30 billion high-grade god crystals, 30 supreme-grade god spiritual veins, and a bottle of heavenly heaven pill. Shilin, who was sitting in a box at the top of the auction hall, had a slight change in his expression. He suddenly stood up and shouted, "What is number 8 up to? Why didn't he bid? Hurry up and call the people from our auction house to bid, otherwise." Shilin's words suddenly came to a halt. The worry on his face had also dissipated a little, because he had seen the bid from booth number 8. After every private room made a bid, the red light in front of the room would flash 3 times. You don't have to worry about it. Since that Ning Cheng is so eager for the breath soil, then he would definitely bid for it. If we're not satisfied with his offer, we can increase the price. Seeing Shilin sit down, the old man opposite him laughed and said, 30 billion high-grade god crystals, 30 supreme-grade god spiritual veins, and 1 bottle of heavenly essence pill. The pretty female cultivator presiding over the auction spoke with a dry voice. The current price was still far from the bottom line of the Myriad Worlds auction. But no one was bidding, so she had no choice but to continue. The reason why the Myriad Realm auction could be so big was to let everyone understand that the Myriad Realm auction was fair. Of course, even if he was faking it, he wouldn't let others know. If she openly paused to report, it would be too obvious that she was lying. She was wondering why the Myriad World auction house wasn't bidding at this time. Could it be that Hall C, row 237, room 105 was arranged by the Infinite Worlds auction house? She was a little uncertain. Something wasn't right. Why was the bid displayed on the bidding monitor screen still the same as room 8, row 237, room 105 at the bottom of the 3rd hall? Shilin stood up once again. At the same time, he instantly understood what was going on. Room 8 had made a bid, but the bid was lower than the bid for room 105 in row 237 of hall 3 on the ground floor. Therefore, it was unable to surpass the previous bid. In other words, when the Infinite Circles Commerce Hall wanted to quote a price, booth number 8 gave a false price. Hurry up and let the auction house bid, hurry. Just as Shilin's words spread out, the female cultivator hosting the auction had already reported 30 billion high-grade god crystals, 30 peak-grade god spiritual veins, a bottle of heaven yuan heavenly pill going thrice. Congratulations, number 105, row 237, 3rd hall, 3rd floor, for winning the soil of breath. Shilin sat down dispiritedly. He knew that he had been tricked. He wanted the Infinite Circles auction to take advantage of him. When he schemed against Ning Cheng must have also schemed against the Infinite Circles auction. He was even sure that room 105 and row 237 of hall 3 on the ground floor had a relationship with room 8. Otherwise, they wouldn't have such tacit understanding. He swore that after this auction, he would remove the flashing red light. The old man sitting across from Shilin also understood what was going on. His eyes flashed with killing intent. Someone actually dared to scheme against the Infinite Circles auction. Manager Shi, as long as that Ning Cheng wants the innate Dragon Ball, he will spit out everything he swallowed. The old man glanced at Shilin and said with a frown. Shilin nodded. That's the only way. My Infinite Circles auction's soil of breath isn't that easy to obtain. After saying that, he immediately sent out several messages, asking people to keep an eye on room 105 and row 237 of hall 3 on the ground floor. In any case, he would never let such a situation happen to the innate Dragon Ball. When Ning Cheng grabbed the jade box, he knew that it was indeed soil of breath. He was also pleasantly surprised. He never thought that he would get the soil of breath at this price. He thought that the auction house would take the initiative to increase the price until he came up with a price that satisfied the auction house. This satisfactory price naturally included the primal chaos chi and the true essence of the universe. He didn't expect that when the female cultivator presiding over the auction started to call out, the auction house wouldn't find anyone to increase the price. This made him feel that this was an opportunity. He didn't hesitate to send a spiritual sense message to the old fogey and let the old fogey quote a price. However, this price had to be lower than his original price. As long as people knew that he had made a bid, it would be fine. Ning Cheng didn't think that it would work. If it didn't work, he would continue to increase the price. Ning Cheng didn't expect it to work. It was a pleasant surprise. Ningqing happily put away the soil of breath. He didn't think that the auction would be fair, and that it would belong to whoever won it. It was most likely that his plan had succeeded, causing the old fogey to call out a price that affected the auction house's judgment, allowing him to pick up a bargain. Ningqing also understood that although the soil of breath was cheap, the innate Dragon Ball wouldn't have such a bargain. For him, the innate Dragon Ball was just a convenient auction. It didn't matter if he couldn't get it. The most important thing was the soil of breath. Now that he had obtained the soil of breath and the soul-gathering immortal lotus, he had basically completed his task in this auction. Uncle Luo. The young man in booth 10, on seeing the successful transaction of the soil of breath from a cultivator sitting in an ordinary seat on the lower floor, immediately released his spiritual consciousness towards Ningcheng's seat and called out. The man addressed as Uncle Luo's face sank. Huang Ping, you can use other methods to trade for the soil of breath from the other party. If you use a forceful method, not to mention the sect master and your father, even I, Luo Qinghe, would not let you off. The young man's face also turned ugly. Uncle Luo, we cultivators are originally defying the heavens. We have too many scruples. How could there be so many things in the world waiting to be delivered to us? Of course, I would first use some top-quality treasures to exchange with him. Only in case he doesn't agree to it, then I would use force. He felt a bit disdainful of Uncle Luo's fearful personality. If it weren't for his good luck, he wouldn't have been able to reach this point in the starry skies where only the strong were respected. Uncle Luo gave a cold snort and didn't speak again. After the auction of the soil of breath, the enthusiasm of the venue weakened a lot. Although many treasures appeared later, none of them could compare to the soul-gathering immortal lotus, or the soil of breath. 3 days passed by in a flash, and the auction was already halfway through. Ningcheng, who had been anxious for a long time, finally heard the sound of the innate dragon pearl. The pretty-looking female cultivator presiding over the auction placed a jade box on a jade plate. Fellow Taoists, just like the soil of breath from before, this innate dragon pearl is also a treasure of my myriad circles commerce hall. The base price of this innate dragon pearl is 1 billion spirit crystals, and each bid must be at least 100 million spirit crystals. The bidding starts now. The young man in booth 10 was just about to bid when he saw the auction's bidding monitor. Someone had already made an offer, and the price he offered far exceeded his current net worth. 50 billion spirit crystals, 100 top-quality spirit veins, and 3 primordial rainbow glow fruits. This price not only stunned the young man in booth 10, but even Ningcheng felt shocked. Even he couldn't offer such a price. He would never take out so many things for an innate dragon pearl. Even he didn't have the primordial rainbow glow fruit. It was a Tao fruit that could help Tao Essence Holy Emperors advance to primordial chaos realm. Excluding the fact that this bid didn't have any top-quality treasures like the essence of the universe, it really wasn't low in terms of value. The entire auction hall was stunned by this bid. This was the first time someone offered such a high price. Was this to prevent others from participating in the auction? Ningcheng didn't participate in the bidding. This price was too high for him. With the soil of breath in hand, he would never take out a treasure like the essence of the universe to bid for the innate dragon pearl. The female cultivator presiding over the auction also felt shocked by this price. After a while, she realized that the price hadn't changed. She had to say, Booth 324 on the bottom floor bids 50 billion spirit crystals, 100 top-quality spirit veins, and 3 primordial rainbow glow fruits. Shi Lin looked at the motionless bidding screen with a gloomy face. Before the female cultivator presiding over the auction could finish her sentence, he took out a communication bead and said, Bid with all your strength. Take back the innate dragon pearl. We won't be bidding for this innate dragon pearl. Booth 8 hadn't moved yet. Apparently, it didn't intend to bid for the innate dragon pearl. The myriad world auction had been hunting geese all day, but today, the geese pecked his eyes. 100 billion god crystals, 200 supreme-grade god spiritual veins, and a sun eclipse treasure eye pearl. The bidding screen finally refreshed, and this price caused an uproar once again. It wasn't normal for the innate dragon pearl to be bid 50 billion spirit crystals, 100 top-quality spirit veins, and 3 primordial rainbow glow fruits. The second bid was even more abnormal. It was more than double the original bid. Just the value of one eclipse treasure pupil was immeasurable. Not to mention 100 billion spirit crystals and 200 top-quality spirit veins. However, it wasn't surprising for someone to behave abnormally the second time. Most people just felt that the innate dragon pearl was precious and wanted to snatch it. Ningcheng sighed. He knew that if he wanted the innate dragon pearl, he would have to go to the Myriad World Auction. With such a move, the Myriad World Auction definitely knew that he didn't intend to bid, and decided to take it back. The fellow who bid 50 billion spirit crystals and 100 top-quality spirit veins would be disappointed. 100 billion spirit crystals, 200 top-quality spirit veins, and 1 eclipse treasure pupil. Is there any higher bid than this? The female cultivator presiding over the auction hadn't finished speaking when Ningcheng felt a water-attributed law fluctuation in the space. This law aura extended from booth 324 to the auction stage in almost a blink of an eye. Not good, someone wants to snatch the innate dragon pearl. Just as Ningcheng thought of this, he saw a water ripple appear on the auction stage in a flash. Madman, how dare you! Almost at the same time as this water ripple wrapped around the innate dragon pearl, several shouts came from all directions. The entire auction venue went berserk, and all kinds of Dao charm auras and law power filled this space. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.